20. Naomi. Tonight I'm prey. Again. My feet curl into my flat sneakers as my vision helplessly searches for a hint of a shadow. The glow of my smartwatch in the darkness indicates he's 37 minutes late. I should have given up and gone home by now. I should have grabbed some chips and curled up in front of the TV and listened to Mom talk about her latest show with her assistants. But I didn't. My feet have gone numb from standing and pacing, but when I attempted to sit down, I couldn't stay still for more than a few seconds. The buzz of energy that's been confiscating my breathing is too powerful to simply ignore. But he's not here. Maybe I read what he said in the cafeteria wrong, and he didn't mean for us to meet here and pick up from where we left off. Maybe I was only projecting my own fucked up wishes. God, I need to talk about this to someone. Other than Akira. Because I'm a coward, even to a pen pal I've had for years. I simply asked if he thought it was crazy if I had weird fantasies that no one would find politically correct, like being chased and caught or something. I'm still contemplating whether or not I should go to the post office and beg to get that letter back. Maybe Akira will think I'm a weirdo, and I'll lose one of the only 2 friends I have. A rustle comes from behind me and I freeze for a fraction of a second before I dash behind the rock. I don't even know what I'm doing. As I crouch, my stiff, unsteady fingers grip the edge and I slowly peer over it. There's no one. Maybe I'm imagining things and letting the wait time get to my head. Maybe it's just one of the night creatures. My busy thoughts trail off when I sense a presence at my back, right before a strong hand grabs me tightly by the hair. I shriek, but the sound is cut off when a palm slams against my mouth. It smells familiar yet foreign at the same time. Bergamot and amber is Sebastian's signature scent, but right now, that's not the only thing that penetrates my nostrils. I'm also breathing in a tangible muskiness, an animalistic masculinity that's accentuated by the way he's grabbing me. It's not only his smell that's different from his normal football star image that I'm familiar with. There's also the way he breathes, how his chest rises and falls. It's harsh and violent, but also calm and collected. Calculated. He's not a mindless beast who's out for the kill. No, he's a manipulative one out to toy with his prey. Me. He uses his hold on my hair and yanks my head back, so his face is peering down on mine. I can't see much aside from the hoodie covering his head, but I can almost make out the spark in his eyes. The sadism in there is so deep, and it translates in how tightly he grips me by the hair. It's different from how he touched me today in the cafeteria, how he stroked my stomach and gently ran his fingers over my lip as he fed me. The contrast between then and now is so high that I get some sort of whiplash. It's like he has a split personality or something. His lips find my ear as he whispers, "Have you been waiting like a good little slut?" No. I elbow him in the chest and squirm to free my hair. But that only makes him grip it harder, until I'm screaming, for real. It hurts. It hurts so bad. And any fighting I do only causes him to tug on the roots, tilting my head back farther, until all I can think about is the pain. His free palm slides across my breasts before he grips one of them so savagely I whimper. His fingers dig into the soft skin, and even though it's through the clothes, I feel the brutality of it to my bones. "Stop it!" I wiggle, but he doesn't give me room to do anything. "Look at how these tits are begging to be hurt, to be used and abused like the rest of you, my filthy little toy." "No, stop it! Ah!" I scream when he pinches one of my nipples through my bra and tugs on it. Just when I'm focused on that, he yanks my top, ripping it down the middle and releases my breasts from the bra. I gasp as he flattens his large palm against my aching nipples and rubs them together so roughly I nearly come then and there. The friction is so damn tantalizing that it burns in my pussy. It's like constantly being on the verge of twisted mayhem and sick pleasure. Your huge tits are made for fucking. You'll take my dick in there, won't you?" "No." He slaps my aching nipples and I squeal. "What did you just say, slut?" "No," I sob. His lips brush against my ear as he whispers, "And you think I care? The more you say no, the harder my dick gets to fuck the word out of you. The more you beg, no, please, the harder I'll tear through that cunt until there's nothing left. This is sick. This is so sick. But I do it. I provoke him. Rearing my head back, I butt him in the chin with a roar. At first, I mean it as a form of egging him on, but it gets too real too soon. My adrenaline level hits the roof as I release myself from his hold and slap and claw at him. My screams and shrieks mount and echo in the air like a fucked up dark symphony. I'm not even sure where I'm smacking as I let my adrenaline-induced side take over, but my blows are short-lived. He grabs me forcefully by the arm and twists me around as he shoves me against the rock. Breath knocks out of my lungs as my face and chest land against the solid surface, and then his hand wraps around my neck as he fumbles with my skirt. I kick my legs in the air. No, no, no! It's time you learned your fucking place. His voice is hoarse and aroused as he jams two of his fingers against my lips from behind, forcing their way between my teeth. Bite, and I will fuck you raw in the ass. I bet it's virgin, too, waiting for my thick cock to tear it. No, please stop it. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Shut the fuck up and take my dick like the slut you are. And then he's thrusting his cock inside my pussy and his fingers in my mouth at the same time. I gasp, wailing up, please, but it barely comes out as a mumble. He spreads my legs as his cock forces its way inside me, tearing me with its entry until I'm sobbing and blubbering. I'm begging for his mercy, for him not to hurt me, but it's only a mumble of sounds and sobs. They're as useless as the meaning behind them. My pelvis hits the solid edge of the rock with each of his thrusts, and I can feel the bruises forming. I attempt to squirm, but he pins me down by jamming his elbow on the small of my back. My nipples feel as if they're being cut by the rock's harsh surface. I'm completely exposed to him as he rams into me with a roughness that leaves me breathless. The safe word is on my tongue, waiting, biding its time for me to end this madness. It hurts like hell, and the pain increases with each passing second. My screams and shrieks seem to fall on deaf ears, or more accurately, the louder I scream and bawl, the rougher his pace gets. The more I wet his hand with my tears and drool, the faster he rams into my aching pussy. I'm still sore from the first time, but now he's taking it up a notch, making pain the only companion I have in the darkness. In my attempts to speak, to beg for him to not hurt me, I bite his fingers. I freeze. Oh God, no. I can't possibly take his size in the ass. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I speak against his fingers. I didn't mean to. The groan that comes from deep within his throat is animalistic in nature. His hand comes down on my ass and I shriek. I said no fucking teeth. Slap, slap, slap. Fire burns from his handprints on my ass. My voice turns hoarse with my broken cries and pleas for help, for him to stop this. He spanks me another time and I come. Just like that, the pain has turned into blinding pleasure. My thighs and legs tremble, my heart nearly spilling out on the rock as he picks up his pace. The madness continues as I shake around him. He doesn't slow down. I'm beginning to learn he never does, not when he's on a mission to break every part of me. He rams faster, harder, like he's intent on tearing me apart, and for some reason that triggers another orgasm. That's it, my slut. Choke my dick like you never wanted out of this tight cunt. I clench around him, riding my orgasm even as I sniffle through the pain. His low growl echoes in the dark forest as he yanks his cock out. The first spurt of his cum paints my ass, followed by the second, and the third as he curses in a low voice. The hot liquid stings against the hot welt caused by his hand. A sigh mixed with broken cries comes out of my lips as he pulls his fingers from them. I want them inside me again. I really need him to anchor me at this moment so I won't be able to think about anything past him and our darkness. His and mine. Because I have no doubt about it now. We're compatible, like he said. Sick. Please, I beg. Stop. Don't stop. Please, let me be alive. He grabs my assaulted ass cheeks and I gasp, but before I can focus on the pain, he's thrusting inside my pussy again. And he's hard. Holy shit. How can he be so ready right after he came all over me? No, please. His palm holds my back as he mounts me so that he's half covering me from behind, while he rams inside me with savageness that steals my air. Please, I'll do anything. Just stop. You'll take my dick like you were always supposed to. Like the toy you are. That's what you'll do. No. Please, God, it hurts. It hurts so much. And it'll hurt even worse from now on. Because I haven't even gotten started yet, my slut. 21. Naomi. It's a blur of motions. After the third orgasm, I lost count of what actually happened. I lost count of how many times he pushed me down against the dirt and spread my legs so he could fuck me deeper. Or how long he slammed me against the tree and choked me with a hand around my throat as he drove into me like a madman. Or how many times he slapped my breasts and pulled me up by my nipples, then forced me to take his cock to the back of my throat and choked me with it. The more I begged, please no, the more ruthless he became. The harder I cried, the more merciless his touch turned. I was dealing with a beast, one with no off buttons and nothing to stop him. Except for a measly safe word that I stubbornly refused to use. Because if I do, this whole thing will vanish into thin air. I'll no longer be chased and fucked savagely. I'll no longer feel alive. And I do feel alive during the entire act, with every thrust and every slap, every dirty word and every degradation. No invisible shackles prison my ankles, and no hidden fear paralyzes me. The pain is my aphrodisiac, and the roughness is my fix. And I simply get to let go. By the time Sebastian finishes, I'm curled into a fetal position on the rock, with his cum trickling between my thighs, running down my ass cheeks and clinging to the tips of my breasts. I think he orgasmed 3 times and ejaculated twice. I have no clue how the hell he managed to pick up right after he finished, but apparently it's possible. His stamina is the craziest thing I've ever come across. I might have been a virgin, but I watch porn, and he was on a whole different level than that. I'm perversely into the hardcore stuff, but even the intensity in those doesn't compare to whatever the hell happened tonight, or what he's capable of. My inability to move is no joke. I'm panting, gasping, and still weeping softly as my core pulses. And the most perverted part is that I would do it all over again. Hell, I wouldn't even mind if he hadn't stopped. That would kill me, though, for real. Not like in some fantasy. The rustle of clothes sounds from the side, and I tilt my head slightly in its direction. He pulls his sweatshirt up, and from his silhouette in the dark, I can tell there's no underwear. Commando. He came prepared to ruin me beyond repair. Why do I love that so much? He lowers his hood until it's covering his head and shadows his eyes, and then he turns. To leave. To erase everything that happened. I barely survived last time, but I can't do this anymore. I don't think I'll be able to live with myself if I just take his abuse and pretend nothing happened afterward. My mouth opens, but only a wince comes out as I attempt to sit up. It takes me several deep breaths until I can speak. Wait. He stops, his back shadowed by the silver of the half moon, but he doesn't turn around. The words get lost. What do I want? To have a conversation? To hear him say anything aside from how I'm a good filthy slut and toy? God, I'm starting to sound victimized, and I hate that feeling. I don't want to be victimized. Can we talk I finally mutter.
"One word,"
he says with a calm he never uses when he whispers dirty words in my ear.
"You only have the right to that.
But
fight harder next time and I might let you enjoy it."
And with that, he disappears between the trees. I gulp, the bitter aftertaste stuck at the back of my throat. I want to follow after him, but my inability to move keeps me pinned in place. For a few minutes, I just lie there. My gaze gets lost in the darkness of the forest and the dusty blanket of stars above. A gust of wind blows through my damp hair and forms goosebumps on my bare skin. I slowly crawl to a sitting position, whimpering softly due to the soreness between my legs, on my nipples, my ass, my throat, my jaw, everywhere. It takes me effort I don't have to stand up and put myself together. Well, as much as possible, considering my torn shirt and panties. I bend down to fetch my phone that I hid by the side of the rock when I got here. I foolishly arrived at 6:45 because I was overly excited. And that sense of thrill had bled into my everyday life. Today, I noticed the people when I never have before. I noticed the way they walked and talked, the way they laughed and scowled. I even stopped to admire the beauty of Blackwood's forest and its tall trees. And it's due to feeling alive after years of just existing. It's the exhilaration after desperation. I used to only breathe air before. Now I breathe life. The same life that I went to countless therapists to be able to get back but never managed to. Turns out that consenting to a fucked up fantasy might have been the answer all along, and the thought that more is still in store for me fills me with morbid anticipation. But there's also a bitter taste that hasn't disappeared since he left me. For the second time. I pause with my phone in my hand when I find a few missed calls. One from Mom, one from Lucy, and one from Kai. My heart skips a beat as I click on the call button while I slowly make my way down the path to where I left my car. I clear my throat a few times, afraid of how my voice sounds after all the screams and sobbing that transpired not too long ago. The PI answers after a few rings. "Kai speaking." "It's me, Naomi. You called me?"
"Yes."
A gust of wind hits me in the bones as I cautiously ask, "Is there anything new?"
"There's progress, yes."
"Why do you sound so serious?"
"I'm always serious."
"I know that, but it's more than usual. You're scaring me."
"There's no other way to deliver the news, Miss Chester, so here it goes. I found the owner of the car we managed to process from that picture, but he's dead."
I physically reel back, a savage pulse pounding in my throat. I always thought about finding my dad, but I never actually considered the idea that he might be dead. Maybe because all this time, with the way my mother made it her mission to hide any information concerning him, I thought he just lived elsewhere. That he wanted to find me as much as I want to find him, but Mom got in the way. He can't be dead. My voice is brittle. Look again.
The owner of that car died due to a traffic accident 20 years ago.
1 year after I was born. Does that mean I met him when I was a baby, and then he just died? I internally shake my head, refusing to believe my father is dead. If that were the case, Mom would have mentioned it, right? Look again, please.
I'll check to see if I missed anything, but I wouldn't be optimistic.
After Kai hangs up, 2 fat tears slide down my cheeks. They're so different from the tears of pleasure that never dried from my face. I crouch in front of my car and quietly cry into my unsteady palms. My chest racks and the haunting noises I make reverberate around me. There's always been a hole in my chest that couldn't be filled, no matter what I tried. One I thought only my dad would occupy. But apparently that's not possible anymore. That hole was supposed to stay hollow, because like Mom has always said, my father doesn't exist.
No.
My head jerks up and I stare at the eyes that were malicious not even 15 minutes ago. He has a flashlight on, and his hoodie is open, revealing a white tee. His shiny dark blonde hair is slicked back and his jaw is set. Sebastian. He's back to being the star quarterback, not the beast from my fantasies who called me a slut and made me come with it.
What is it, baby? Why are you crying?
His voice is calm, soothing almost. I don't know if it's the stress from knowing about my father or the bitterness I felt earlier, but they all climb to the surface, ripping at the last screw that's been holding me together. Jumping to my feet, I storm over to stand in front of him, but he doesn't even flinch, almost as if he was expecting the attack. Am I supposed to pretend nothing happened just now, Sebastian? Again? His expression remains the same.
I thought that was what you wanted.
Maybe that's what you want. His eyes roam over me in deliberate slowness.
We want the same thing.
I don't want to brush over everything that's happened as if it's
a fantasy?
Taboo? As if it's nothing. I breathe out on a sniffle.
It's definitely not nothing.
Then act like it. Talk about it. Don't leave me wondering if I've lost my mind or if I should check myself into a mental institute. His jaw hardens and I think he'll say that's exactly what I should do, but the lines around his eyes ease.
You don't need to shrink just because you're different.
Then what else do I need in this madness?
Someone who understands your needs and fulfills them.
But what we're doing is fucked up.
The best things are.
Don't you have second thoughts about it? Any form of hesitation?
I'm assertive enough to accept that I'm an anomaly to what society expects from us, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather be abnormal than fit into a mold that's not designed for me.
Even if it means raping someone?
Not someone. You.
It could be someone else tomorrow. He shakes his head.
We're not that common, Sundara. I wouldn't be able to find someone whose crazy matches mine.
So you would leave if you were to stumble upon such a person?
Never.
My breath hitches and an involuntary hiccup leaves me. How can you be so sure?
It's who I am. I don't lie to myself. So when I say I only want you, I mean it.
So you're stuck with me?
No. You're stuck with me, baby.
A slow sigh mixed with a whimper heaves out of me. But it's abnormal. I recognize sexual deviant behavior. It's what makes serial killers who they are, and that's sick and twisted and...
Sick and twisted are only labels they try to contain us with. We're not serial killers just because we enjoy consensual, non-consensual sexual activities. We're grown adults who recognize our fantasies. And unlike the cowards who only dream about it, we actually make it happen.
But what if it's more than that? What if this is only the beginning of divergent behavior?
Why is that a problem?
You can hurt people.
I'm not interested in hurting people. I'm only interested in hurting you.
My heart hammers, and everything inside me seems to melt under the impact. God, there's nothing I want to do other than let him hurt me all over again. Maybe you already have. He frowns.
You didn't use the word, so I thought you could still take it.
I don't mean that. I clear my throat. You fucked me without a condom.
So?
Hello? Pregnancy?
Oh, that.
Yes, that. What would you have done if you'd shot your spawn inside me?
Take care of it when it comes.
What makes you think I want children this young?
It's not planned, so if it happens, it happens.
Are you serious?
Very.
But there'd be another life we'd have to be responsible for.
So be it. Why do you have to make it into a fucking event?
I don't know. Oh, let me think. Maybe because it would be? We're college kids, Sebastian, and we're not even in a relationship.
We are. You just refuse to admit it, and what great parents we'd make, Sundara.
This isn't the time to joke around. A child out of wedlock would cause a political scandal in your family.
I couldn't give two fucks about that.
Why wouldn't you?
That's the difference between us, Naomi. My focus is solely on you and me, but your attention is scattered elsewhere.
You really wouldn't care if I conceived. It's not a question because I see his answer loud and clear in his relaxed features.
I wouldn't make it a fucking issue like you're doing, but now that you've put it in my head, I'm curious to see you.
Don't even think about it. I'm on birth control shots. His face turns blank as if he's disappointed.
Then what was the whole drama for?
Condoms!
Yeah, no, I don't like them with you.
You could have given me something, considering all the girls you've fucked.
I've never fucked anyone without protection.
I swallow. No one?
No one but you, and I'm keeping it that way.
He says it as if it's an established fact he doesn't want to argue.
As for my medical record, I'll send you the one from the physical I had before school started. It says I'm healthy and in my prime.
Fucked up, too, I mutter.
That makes two of us, baby. I like hurting you, and you love being hurt.
Why? I murmur.
Why what?
Why do you like hurting me?
Because when I do, you fight, and subduing you alleviates my need for violence.
Even when I tell you no and beg you to stop?
Especially then.
His voice doesn't change, but it's like his words are stroking a dark corner of my chest. Maybe talking about it wasn't the best idea after all. At the moment, I don't have the stamina to bear myself or to entertain the buried memories that are attempting to puncture the surface.
What about you?
He asks. What about me?
You like it when I'm rough. You come harder and your pussy feels scared and in need of more.
My cheeks burn. Stop it.
You wanted to talk. We're talking.
I take it back. I turn to my car. I'm tired. He grabs me by the wrist.
Not so fast, Tsundere. You don't get to run away.
From what?
From facing the reason you're like this.
Who told you there's a reason?
I wasn't sure before, but the way your pulse quickened beneath my fingers just now proves I'm right.
I pull my hand free. The manipulative jerk. I don't want to talk about it.
Yet.
Ever.
You will eventually tell me.
Why would I do that?
Because in return, I'll tell you my reasons.
He leans in and wraps a hand around my throat, slowly stroking the pulse point.
Until you're ready to go down that road, you're mine to destroy.
22. Akira. Dear Yukiona, what you're doing is completely fine. There's a thing called rape fantasy, and it's completely healthy. I searched it, and the psychology reports say it's the woman's way to gain control and surrender. It's also related to masochism, wide imagination, and a broad range of BDSM. It can also be something someone with sexual trauma is interested in because it gives them control over a situation similar to one from their past where they couldn't. So it's completely healthy. You should do what makes you happy. Is that what you hoped I'd write back? Is that what you had in mind when you sat down and wrote me your version of a twisted sob story? I don't even know what you're trying to accomplish when you said that. Just what on earth are you thinking? You and whoever is indulging in this sick arrangement are perverted, and spare me the bullshit of how this isn't about you or that this is a hypothetical situation. I've known you for 3 years, and you can't lie for shit. I've been meaning to confront you about your issues for a while, but I might as well do it now. It's long overdue. When you said you have friends, I call bullshit. It's simple, really, and doesn't take a lot of mental work to figure it out. If you had any friends, you wouldn't be talking to some random stranger from the other side of the globe. You're lonely, and it's not even cute or quirky. It's your choice, so stick with it and stop bleeding my ears, or more accurately, my eyes, with nonsense about how people don't understand you. Do you even understand people? Yeah, you don't, because you don't care enough about anyone other than yourself. Here are some facts, Naomi. You're selfish. I don't know what happened to make you that way or if it just runs in your genes, but you have issues. Every time you write to me, all you do is talk about yourself and think you're funny because you're naturally sarcastic about everything, yourself included. When you say you hate men, I want to reach my eyeballs and gouge them out. You don't hate men. If you did, you would have veered in the other direction or in no direction at all. But you watch porn. Straight porn. Hardcore straight porn. And don't even try to deny it. Because I don't believe asking for recommendations of my favorite sites every other month is a coincidence. So no, you don't hate men. You just hate your inferiority complex. You hate that you can't muster the courage to start a conversation or to lose the resting bitch face long enough for someone to approach you. You've taken the word introvert to a whole different level and turned it into a hostile situation that you can't escape anymore. Your love for true crime and serial killers don't make you edgy or smart, it just makes you cynical about every life situation. So basically, even your hobbies are a method to veer you away from society and make you suspicious about everything in your surroundings, including your own mother, the woman you said immigrated, gave birth, and raised you all on her own. You say your mother is always absent and doesn't have time for you. But what do you do when she makes a dent in her schedule for your sake? You're too uncomfortable to spend time alone with her anymore because you still hold a grudge against her. Now, you didn't tell me what type of grudge it is. Hell, you didn't even mention that word. But I'm not an idiot. I know there's bad blood between you two and you're just taking it out on her. You say you hate the cheer squad and the cheerleaders, but you mirror their nasty behavior the entire time. And deep down, you admire your captain because she's everything you aren't. You curse her any chance you get, but you're in awe of how comfortable she is in her own skin, which can't be said about you. Not only do you hate yourself, but you're also sometimes out to destroy yourself. And your latest method for that is some sort of fetish about being chased and eventually caught, then raped. In what world would anyone consider that normal? The fact that you want it in the first place should be a red alert. Stop. Go to a shrink and get some help, because you're just spiraling out of control at this point, and soon enough you'll get bored of this fetish and destroy yourself by using another method. What will it be next? Alcohol, drugs, prostitution? Maybe you'll end up in one of those psych wards eating your own shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that hurt? I don't care. I didn't start writing to you so I'd be the only audience for your pity parties or attempts to make yourself feel more grandiose than you really are. This is me, true and unfiltered, and this is how I'm going to be from now on. I'm done playing nice and pretending that I approve of the shitty decisions you make. From now on, you'll get a reality check from me. If you hate it, I don't give a fuck. Don't write back. But I'll continue writing. Don't read my letters if that bruises your fragile ego. But I'll keep them coming. Go complain at customs. Seriously, I have zero fucks to give at this point. Going forward, we'll do it my way. P.S. This is my actual personality. All the previous letters were me playing it down and being nice. I've had a wake-up call lately and realized I was always a bastard, so it's pointless to pretend I'm someone I'm not. Until next time, Yukiona. Love, but not really. Akira.
23. Naomi. If I had a doubt about positively losing my mind, it's gone. I am insane. It's been 2 weeks of pure madness, of running in the woods and being chased around my dark house when Mom isn't home. 2 weeks of pretending my monster isn't the same football star everyone drools over on campus. 2 weeks of drifting. And in these weeks, I felt more alive than in my whole life. Or more accurately, since it was snuffed out of me during that red night. But even the feeling of being alive is shadowed by something else. Something eerily gloomy and haunting. Something bad. I recognize it even though I try to hang on to the fantasy, to the addiction, to the fact that I'm not just a floating existence in the middle of 1,000 others. I'm special. I'm different. At least to him. Not Sebastian, but the beastly side of him. The one who doesn't take no for an answer and gets off on having me cry and writhe as he chokes me with his dick, then breaks me with it. The one who wants me so badly he's blinded to everything but me. The beast and I have a common ground. He gets off on the hunt and violence, and I can finally admit that I get off on being chased and degraded. On being used, roughed up, sensually ravished. The beast and I meet in the dark, in the forest, and do our taboo ritual on that rock or against the filthy dirt. The beast and I have an arrangement. I take his darkness, and he swallows mine. I get off on his unapologetic dominance, and he gets off on my unconditional submission. The beast abandons me battered against the rock and doesn't look twice in my direction. But soon after, the man appears. Sebastian. He carries me to his car, cleans me, and drives me home. He sometimes even buys me ointments from the pharmacy, but he never once looks at me with pity or guilt. I don't think he's capable of those emotions, and I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with that side of it all. In that moment, after the beast in him and the fantasies in me are satiated, I swear there's some sort of a glow that surrounds us. A high, a warped sense of satisfaction. We get to pretend whatever depravities that happened between us didn't actually happen. We get to pick back up as normal, functioning college kids. But maybe I do need help, as Akira so bluntly put it. Ever since I received his letter a week ago, I've been fuming. Not only because of his hurtful honesty and all the things he's bottled up for years, but also because he waited all this time to say anything. I've always wanted someone I could bare my soul to. Someone I could tell anything without them judging me. Lucy can't be that person, because deep down, she's pure, normal. She wouldn't understand. Besides, I see her every day, and that could turn too awkward too quickly if we talk face to face. Akira was the one person I could slowly open up to and even talk to about porn and stuff. He didn't see me and couldn't judge me. Or so I thought. Obviously, he could judge me well enough through a letter and be a major asshole, unlike what he said he wasn't in the first letter I got from him. But for some reason, it didn't make me only mad. I was also relieved. For a while now, it really felt as if I was the only one who was talking in our interactions. They felt stilled, almost, as if I was trying so hard to keep it alive. Maybe that's why I pulled that move and told him about my screwed-up fantasy. I wanted to provoke a reaction out of him. Well, I got it. A very rude one at that. But it still counts. I want to tell him to go fuck himself for kink-shaming others, but I haven't cooled down enough to articulate it in words. Lucy and I head into class after lunch as she gushes about a party Owen is having soon and tries to convince me to go. If Sebastian will be there, maybe I will. I don't know if it's only because of him, but I don't feel so asocial lately, even if I do still need my small bubble. The football team is having a meeting with their coach now, and that sucks because I didn't get a chance to see Sebastian today. That could be part of my sour mood. We usually sit together, whether with the football team and the cheer squad or alone, or more like, he sits me on his lap, oblivious to everyone whispering and throwing jabs at us. And I love that about him, the fact that he lets no one penetrate his armor. Having meals and talking about politics, law, manga, and anime has become normal. Our time together is something I look forward to every day. Sometimes he suddenly appears in my house whenever Mom isn't there, and either ravishes me or just sits down and watches serial killers with me. He says it's entertaining watching me engrossed in those shows. Lucy changes the subject to a Spanish series she's binging on Netflix, but she lacks her usual energy. If I wasn't paranoid about the whole thing with Akira, I'd be sure she's also drifting away. When we're just outside of our next class, Josh, a guy on the football team, slides in front of us, blocking our path. He has a tall build, but it isn't buff. His features have this foxy look, and when he grins, they become even foxier. What? I go straight to the defensive. We may sit together at lunch, but we're not close by any means. In fact, he joins in on the snickering and snide remarks by Brianna and the others. Come on, Naomi, we're friends. What's my favorite color? Black. It's navy blue. How can you be my friend if you don't even know my favorite color? You act as if Captain knows too. He scoffs, laughing at his own joke. That might be true, but it's not like Sebastian and I have any sort of relationship or anything. All I ever connect to is the beast inside him, really. So no, I'm not actually hurt that Josh is right, and Sebastian doesn't even know my favorite color. I place a hand to my hip. Do you have a point?
Save me a piece when he's done with you.
Josh? Lucy trails off on a reprimand, her gaze flitting between the two of us.
Come on, we all know it's all a lie.
He sizes me up in a sleazy kind of way that makes my skin crawl. My best friend's face contorts, and she looks like when she used to have her intense periods that left her feeling crippled. Or when she saw Prescott making out with a sophomore the other day. I place a hand on my hips. What is that supposed to mean?
You're so stupid, you don't even realize it.
Josh shakes his head slowly.
Or maybe you're blinded.
Off you go, Josh. Our attention turns to Raina, who waltzes to the middle of our small group with her imaginary queen bee crown on top of her head. She's wearing a stunning pink leather skirt and a peachy-colored top with lace sleeves. Her knee-high boots give her a sophisticated edge only she can pull off. Josh throws his hands in the air with a surrendering gesture.
I'm just counting the hours.
Go, she repeats, adding a subtle motion with her chin. He shrugs and wets his lips.
I want to be next.
And with that, he heads down the hall. Lucy releases an audible breath while she stares at Raina as if searching for her holy approval. Our captain's attention is on me as she says, Go first, Lucy. I need a word with Naomi. No thanks. I flip my hair back. We're not exactly besties, and last time I checked, we don't have alone time. My friend, however, smiles. Just cool down now. I'll be inside. She's my bestie, and I love her, but she needs to drop the pacifying manner where everyone needs to come out as the winner. Once it's only Raina and me, it's like the walls are slowly closing in on me. Still, I summon my bravado. What now? Are you going to threaten to kick me off the team? Why, Sebastian? Her question takes me completely by surprise. The way she speaks is detached, cool-headed, which is what I've always loathed about her. Or maybe admired, as Akira eloquently put it. I'm so surprised that it takes me some time to answer. What type of question is that?
One that's simple enough. You always put yourself one step ahead of everyone.
So how come you're falling for Sebastian? I'm not falling for him.
I might believe that if I hadn't seen the way you look at him. It's like you've waited your entire life for him.
Shit. That's not true.
And now you're just denying it, and it's pissing me off.
Oh, I'm pissing you off? Good. So how about you take the hint and leave me alone?
You can easily get rid of me if you tell me. Why him?
I didn't really have a choice. He pestered me.
So you wouldn't have agreed under different circumstances?
Of course not. He's a shallow quarterback with nothing behind his physical appearance. He's not my type. She smiles as her gaze breaks from mine and flits behind me.
Hear that, Bastian? You're not the lady's type.
I swallow as his scent invades my nostrils. Raina gives me a condescending stare before she steps past me into class. Wincing, I turn around to face him. His features are a makeshift mix of emotions I'm unable to peer through. In my attempt to shove Raina off my back, I spoke against the thoughts I hold in my very core. What are you doing here? I whisper. He doesn't usually come to our department. He reaches into his pocket and gets out a bottle of apple juice, my favorite, and throws it in my direction. I catch it between clammy fingers as his detached voice wraps a noose around my throat.
I thought I'd come see you since we didn't have lunch together. I was in for a surprise, apparently.
About what you heard.
Oh, you mean the fact that I'm a shallow quarterback who's not your type?
That's not what I meant.
Do you always say what you don't mean?
Yes, and that's why he calls me Tsundere. But there's nothing playful about him right now. If anything, he seems to have taken it personally. And I hate that, somehow. I especially hate the monotone way he's speaking to me. As the beast, he's all growly, rough, and demanding. As the man, he's witty and playful. An asshole sometimes, but never this closed off. When I don't say anything, he turns around and leaves. Wait. I stumble over my words but can't find the right ones. His broad frame slowly disappears down the hall, and my jittery insides catch fire. It's like a part of me is disappearing with him. Or maybe it's a part of us. I barely chance a glance at the classroom, and the decision to ditch it comes so easily. I'm half jogging in my attempts to catch up to Sebastian. Thankfully, I know where he parks his car, and I catch up to him right as he starts the engine. I don't think twice as I hop in the passenger seat, panting. He stares at me.
What are you doing?
Going with you.
Where do you think I'm going?
I don't care.
It could be a dangerous place.
I scoff. I think I'm used to that already.
You have no idea how dangerous some addictions can become, Naomi.
Is that what we have? An addiction?
An addiction, an obsession, a madness. Take your pick. Oh, or maybe it's shallow, too.
I release a shaky breath. I was agitated by Raina, and I just didn't want her to know.
Know what?
How deep it really goes for us, or at least for me. But I don't say that, or it'll become a reality I'll have to face. What we have, I say quietly.
So we have something. And here I thought I wasn't your type.
You don't have to be sarcastic.
Because that's your thing.
Stop it. His eyes darken.
You know I love that word.
The base of my stomach shrivels as blood pumps to my face and neck. Ever since the night he asked me to open up about what happened to me in return for him opening up about himself, Sebastian keeps his monster self separated from who he is. This is the first time he's actually alluded to what we do in the dark while being the star quarterback. Is this progress or just dangerous? Clearing my throat, I ask, have you ever thought about hurting others?
Of course I have. All the time.
Why don't you act on it?
Because it'll give me a label and a bad reputation.
And that's so bad?
When you come attached with my family name, it is. I need to have a good reputation so no one suspects me.
Wow. I relax into my seat, fingering the bottle of apple juice as he pulls out of the parking lot. Since when did you come to that conclusion?
Since a boy in elementary school was called a bully for giving me a bloody nose, when the fact was I broke his toy. No one believed him after he beat me up because in the world's eyes, he had a bad reputation and I was the victim.
You weren't. He lifts a shoulder.
They believed it. That's what matters.
Does that mean everything you do is make-believe?
To an extent.
So, your true self is the beast. He smiles, a predatory one.
Is that what you call me in your head?
Just answer the question, I blurt, embarrassed to my bones.
I wouldn't say I'm him entirely. Just like not every part of you is the prey.
That's what you call me?
That or toy.
For some reason, that doesn't feel odd or degrading. I get off on the name-calling during sex, but this feels different, almost like our secret language. I stare at Sebastian, like really stare at him and his sculpted beauty that's fit for models. Why would a person like him get off on that depravity? What turned the boy who was beaten up at school into the beast? Do you keep those two facets of you entirely separated? I ask.
Maybe.
It's a yes or no question.
The answer depends on your answer.
My answer to what?
What happened to you?
My fingers tremble and I jam the straw into the bottle of juice, then take a long swig. I was born without a father, and it fucked me up. When I was younger, I looked at other kids and hated my mom for not letting me have a father. Then I thought maybe she had me from one of those fertilization clinics and I was supposed to be fatherless. You might say that's not a big deal. I thought so as well, until I realized I wouldn't be the same if I'd had a father. Or maybe I'm just trying to make an excuse and be normal. Because normal families don't have bad shit happen to them.
They do.
His voice is quiet,
My parents were normal people without much ambition. They were so normal and righteous, they left my grandparents' sides to live a bland life. But they died in an accident anyway. Striving for normal didn't save them. It may have made their deaths more imminent. I'm sorry. Why? Huh? Why are you sorry?
Isn't that what people say in these circumstances?
I don't get the sentiment behind it. They were my parents, and I don't even think of them anymore. Why would you be sorry for their deaths when you didn't know them and didn't have anything to do with it?
Oh, God. I suspected it before, but I'm almost sure now. Do you, maybe, lack empathy?
The ability to understand and share the feelings of someone else.
I don't want the definition. Do you feel it?
I suppose not.
That's a form of antisocial characteristics.
So I've been told.
By whom?
My gazillion therapists and my uncle. They don't want me to be that way, so I managed to make them think I do feel empathy.
But you don't.
Your point is, do you want me to pretend in front of you as well?
No, don't do that.
Good. I wasn't planning to, baby.
He smiles, but I don't return it. My mind is filled with 1,000 theories about him. He's completely different from the Sebastian Weaver I'd painted in my head, and for some reason I prefer this version a lot more than the fantasy. Even the imperfections add more to his alluring personality. He's different, but he's unapologetic about it. He's different, but he's not fake. Not like me.
24. Sebastian. Since we ditched anyway, I'd take Naomi to my devil's lair. Kidding, just my apartment. While I love chasing the fuck out of her in the forest, I want to debauch her in all ways possible inside my home. I watch her inquisitive gaze as she takes in the modern setting of my house. It's all in gray, black and white, though I only saw the world in the two extremes of those colors before her. Her eyes widen the slightest bit when she watches all her surroundings, as if making sure there's always an exit option. Her distrustful nature is cute, but she needs to get rid of it when around me. I suppose that would happen with time. I grab an apple bottle juice from the fridge and toss it to her. She catches it, then we sit together on the sofa across from the TV. I inhale her in, filling my lungs with lily and fucking peaches. It's become a fix now, a drug I need constant doses of, but could still never get enough. Why did you bring me here? What type of question is that? To fuck the shit out of you, of course. A delicate blush covers her cheeks. Do you have to be crude? Crude is what I do. She slurps from her juice and lifts her chin. I want to watch the newest true crime show first. Are you seriously picking true crime over fucking? Everyone has different priorities, she teases, struggling to hide her smile and failing. I'm going to have to talk with those serial killers and Netflix for producing them like candy. HBO Max too, and Hulu. You think this is funny? She nods with a huge grin as she reaches to the remote and turns on Netflix. I steal it out of her hand. We'll have a bet. You and your bets. What now? Are you a scaredy cat? She tips her chin defensively. No? Then you'll win this rather easily. Win what? Instead of true crime, we'll watch a horror movie. If you shriek, close your eyes, or hide, I win. And that means we'll go with my fucking the shit out of you plan, which includes countless orgasms, by the way. If you do none of those, we'll watch true crime. One episode, though. Then we'll go back to my plan. She laughs. The sound is like fucking music to my ears. I love knowing that she's a closed-off person on the outside, but is a mushy girl with me. Only me. After she agrees to the bet, I put on The Conjuring. That shit apparently made a few of the cheerleaders cry with horror, as per Owen's retellings, so I trusted it'd work. I don't watch it, though. My entire attention stays on her. She's still slurping from her juice. But as the time goes by, the straw is there, but she's gulping her own saliva instead of the juice. Ominous music from the film fills the room, which means there'll be a spooky scene soon. I slowly reach a hand behind her, keeping it on the sofa. When the jump is about to happen, I touch her shoulder. Naomi shrieks, jumping up, then hiding her head in my lap as she throws the bottle of juice away. Her chest hits my thigh, and I can sense her skyrocketing pulse. I burst out laughing as I wrap my arm around her back. You lose, baby. Screw you, okay? She peeks up at me, making sure to not make eye contact with the screen. That's cheating. I call it gaming the system. Asshole. You're such a scaredy cat for someone who worships at true crime's shrine. They're not the same. She motions at the TV, still hiding. Can you turn it off? Maybe I want to continue watching it. Sebastian! Yes, baby. Don't you want to, I don't know. Why don't you remind me? Naomi runs her hand over my dick, and although it's through the material of my pants, it's like she's stroking my bare skin. My erection jumps to life, and she takes it as an encouragement to fasten her pace. I groan, throwing my head against the sofa. Her touch is still innocent, like the first time, but it's more explorative now, curious. She's a fast learner, my Naomi. Turn it off, she coos in a breathy tone. Are you going to take me at the back of that pretty throat? She licks her lips. If you want, you'll make me nice and wet for when I will fuck you. No. No. You'll make me. She bites her lower lip. Please make me. Fuck me. Only she would ask me of these things and make it sound like a fucking erotic dream. Her crazy matches mine after all, and I'm a lucky bastard to have stumbled upon it. A low groan spills from me as I fumble for the remote. The moment I turn off the movie, a loud sound echoes in the air. At first I think it's a bomb or something, but it comes again. My fucking doorbell. I dig my fingers into her hair. Open your mouth. Shouldn't you see who is it? Don't fucking care. They will go away. She's unsure for a second, but I unbuckle my belt and free my cock. Naomi takes me to the back of her throat just like she promised. I grab her by the hair. That's it. Make it nice and wet. Her eyes meet mine as she sucks and licks, her cheeks hollowing. I'm 2 seconds away from pushing her on all fours and fucking her on the ground animal style. The distinctive sound of a beep echoes in the silence. And I freeze. Only one person knows the code to my apartment in case of an emergency. And sure enough, he appears at the threshold of my living room carrying his briefcase. His expression remains the same as he takes in the scene in front of him. Am I interrupting something? Fuck, Nate. I hide Naomi with my body so he doesn't see her flushed face or her lips around my dick. The last thing I want is for any man, Nate included, to witness her in this state. She releases me and scrambles away, her face heated. I tuck my painfully hard cock in and glare at my uncle, aka the fucking cock blocker. Ever heard of the word privacy? You weren't answering the door or your phone, so I thought there was an emergency. He runs his critical gaze over Naomi. It's a different type of emergency, I see. She winces, then stands up. I'm going to go. I grab her by the wrist and pull her back to my side. If anyone needs to leave, it's him. Nonsense. Nate places his briefcase on the sofa. Let's make dinner and talk. Or you can walk out of the door and leave us alone, I suggest. He ignores me and offers his hand to Naomi. Nathaniel Weaver, I'm this rascal's uncle and guardian of sorts. I'm 21, I don't need a guardian. Don't believe what he tells you, he does. Nate whispers to her with his charming smile. Naomi smiles back, taking his hand. Naomi Chester. Sebastian and I study at the same campus. The girl from TV has a name, Nate says, and she blushes again. I jump up and break them apart. I don't like that he's using his rare, kind persona, and I don't want her to ever think of him as someone charming. He's my uncle, and I hate him right now. Fucking sue me. The rascal doesn't bring his girlfriends home. We're not really. We are, I say firmly, cutting her off. Nate smirks, and I flip him off. The bastard knows I'm acting out of character, and he won't let me live this down. Let's have that dinner, he says and heads to the kitchen area. Sure. Naomi starts to follow, but I keep her at my side. Are you on my side or his? I hiss in her ear. I want to meet your uncle. Besides, you're being rude, she murmurs back. He's the one being rude by barging in here, I say aloud. I heard that, rascal. Good, leave then. No, Grandma said she wants to see you. Hearsay. I'll send her a picture that you're here as evidence. Circumstantial. Now come make yourself useful. Naomi chuckles softly and I poke her side. What are you laughing at? You and your uncle have a lovable relationship. I call it he's a pain in the ass relationship. It's lovable anyway. I like seeing you this way. What way? Human, I guess. Real? You, however, are always real. She leans in and kisses my cheek. I'm more real with you. Before I can grab her and use PDA to kick Nate out, she slips from between my fingers and goes to the kitchen. I follow after, grumbling and contemplating how to get rid of my uncle. We end up having more fun making dinner, as my uncle and I banter, and Naomi joins in the teasing. When we sit down to eat, it feels like home. The one I lost when I was 6 years old. 25. Sebastian. I'm the heart of almost every party that's thrown on campus. My name is the one people use to invite everyone over. That's what Owen did tonight. He turned his parents' house into a club and even invited a trendy DJ that he paid a small fortune for. That's the thing about Blackwood. If you have money, you're compelled to show it so you're considered part of the it crowd. It's common in our circle. My own grandmother tells me to throw parties just so she can brag about me in front of her friends. Her usual speech would be something along the lines of, Sebastian's grades are so promising. His are even better than Brian's when he was in school. Football? Oh, that's just a hobby. He'll quit once he's out in the world. Sebastian, tell them how you got an A by just contradicting your professor. A story Grandma likes to retell over and over because in her mind, it's signed and sealed that I have the political genes that make a weaver out of me. So while everyone expects me to like parties, I loathe them. The only reason I show up is to make an appearance before I disappear into a corner where no one can find me. Then my dark, twisted thoughts attack me and I usually force myself to participate in the mindless fun. Not tonight, though. Tonight, my blood is boiling, and my fists are clenched around my phone as I search the crowd. For her. My toy. I planned to make her run for it today. It's been a week since I last chased her, even though she's dropped hints in each of our conversations. She was asking me without words why I haven't grabbed her and held her down, why I haven't unleashed the beast on the prey. She's a masochist, my Naomi. Only a few days without our twisted game and she came out of her shell to implore about it. I brushed off her subtle advances and pretended to be clueless when, in fact, I've been plotting for tonight. It's not fun when the prey knows she's going to be chased. Since I sensed that she started to expect it, I had to change gears. I kept her on her toes all week long, barely touching her beyond a kiss or a dirty fingering. As she watched her true crime shows while her mom was in the kitchen. I didn't always let her finish either. She called me names and cursed me in both English and Japanese while I merely smirked. I loved having her on the edge and seeing her flinch every time I got near. I loved her gasps when my fingers plunged inside her and the sound of her muffled moans as she tried her hardest not to orgasm. But what I loved the most is the anticipation that's been building inside her to the point of overflowing. It took so much edging to reach that level of torture. I was even tormented in the process, giving myself blue balls. I resorted to masturbating violently, imagining Naomi's cunt strangling me as I held her down. I fantasized about fisting her dark strands around my fingers, sucking on her dusty pink nipples and clamping my hands on her hips as I fucked her against the ground. I masturbated to the image of her sprawled out, fighting me as I ravished her tits until she sobbed and her cunt wept for me. Or the image of her wide, dark eyes as she stared at me while gasping for her orgasm. Or the image of her clawing and squirming beneath me as her cunt strangled my dick. But that could only last for so long. Tonight was supposed to belong to the beast and the toy, but I didn't count on her coming to Owen's party, not when she's adamant about destroying every form of her social life. It wasn't until I saw the selfie Lucy posted on social media that I nearly lost it. I almost lose it again when I spot her in the crowd. Naomi is wearing a red dress with a completely bare back. The material in the front hardly covers her tits and is bound at her stomach with a golden ring that reveals her belly button. She looks hot and fucking sinful, and I want to rip that dress off her and fuck her with it bunched in her mouth. But those aren't the only thoughts running rampant in my head. My gaze is zeroed in on every bastard who looks in her direction or licks their lips as they pass her by. I inhale a deep breath. I'm not the type who lets their emotions get the better of them, not since I was trained to be cool-headed and never show my intentions in public. Being an open book is a sure way to become a target, and I was only ever meant to be a predator. So why the fuck am I fantasizing about pounding every last fucker to the ground? Owen, Josh, Prescott, and a few others from the football team and the cheering squad surround her like sharks in infested water. There's Lucy and Raina as well, but I'm blind to them. All I can see are dicks that need to be cut off for looking at my girl while she's dressed like that. My girl. I pause at that thought. Since when did Naomi become my girl? All this time, all I've ever thought about was the game we played and the jackpot I hit for finding someone compatible with my darkest side. I never considered it anything beyond that. That's a lie. I looked forward to spending time with her, to hearing her talk about stupid serial killers and the latest podcast she's obsessed with. Even her rock music is growing on me. Sometimes when she falls asleep on the couch, I watch how peaceful she is. She has this weird habit of balling herself into a fetal position with her head lying on her hand. In the span of a few weeks, I've learned more about her than I have any other human. Like her love for apple juice, her unhealthy obsession with true crime, her passion for rock music, her justice-oriented side since she volunteers for children's organizations. And most of all, how free she looks when she thinks no one is looking, or when she sketches. They say the more you know someone, the less you like them. It's the exact opposite for me. I'm fucking infatuated with this girl, and the twisted sex only plays a small part of it. Because even without the sex, I feel something is missing if I don't see her for a few hours. Maybe infatuated isn't the right word, because I'm on the verge of becoming a criminal to ward any unwanted attention off her. I summon my mask as I stride toward the group. I make sure to creep up from Naomi's back because I like the sound of her small gasp when I startle her. It's similar to when I thrust my fingers inside her tight cunt. Are you sure you won't change your mind? I hear Josh ask her when I'm near. It should have been me instead of Captain anyway. Naomi's brows scrunch in that soft way that makes her tiny features even tinier and her pale complexion paler. She looks like a doll sometimes. Maybe that's why I've been on a mission to break her. And keep her. What do you mean, it should have been you? She asks, and it takes all I have not to pummel Josh into the ground. Looks like the extra training I've made him do lately for payback hasn't been enough. I need to up my game. Josh darts at his tongue. That will be soon cut off and licks his lips. It should have been me. You say that as if you would have ever stood a chance. I slide to Naomi's side and subtly wrap an arm around the small of her back. Her pink lips slowly part and I revel in the shiver that takes over her body as I stroke her bare skin with my thumb. But I don't look at her for long. If I did, I'd want to rip this thing off her here and now, and then I'd need to put that fucker Josh and everyone who has a similar thought in their fucking place. So I fixate him with my neutral expression that makes people intimidated. You think you're a match for me? He releases a nervous laugh that no one returns. Look, Captain, I was just joking around, man. You weren't. I saw the glint in your eyes when you were licking your lips while you were ogling her cleavage. Do that again and I'll jam your teeth to the back of your skull, then use them to rip your balls off your dick. A collective gasp echoes in the air, and then a multitude of clearing throats follow. They don't know me as the type who threatens. I didn't in the past because I didn't need to. I merely got things done in the background, whether by using forms of manipulation or secret violent incidences that I could get away with. But I had to put the fucker Josh in his place so he doesn't look in her direction again. Naomi stiffens by my side, but she remains silent. It's Owen who nudges me and whisper hisses, "What the fuck was that for?" I ignore him, still directing the full blow of my hostility at Josh. Is that fucking clear, or do I need to start acting on those threats? Go act like a caveman someplace else. Naomi bites out and elbows me. It's hard and sudden enough that my hold loosens from behind her. Her cheeks are red, and her stomps are harsh and unmeasured as she shoves through the crowd. I grab Josh by the collar of his shirt, and his eyes widen as I whisper, "Next time you look at what's mine or run your loose mouth, it will be your last. Watch your fucking back." I shove him away and ignore Owen's protests and Raina's coy smile as I follow the path Naomi took. The crowd of people is so large that it's impossible to find her, even when it must be hard to run in her skimpy clothes. I make a whole round before my mind goes in the opposite direction. I'll chase her, but not through a crowd. Retrieving my phone, I type, "Sebastian, go around the pool area and into the West Wing." The tick that indicates she read my message appears immediately. Her reply is back in a second, and I can almost imagine her scathing tone if she were to say the words. "Naomi, you don't get to treat me like a piece of meat in front of everyone, you fucking asshole." It was a problem, and I had to take care of it. By being a caveman? If need be. That's not how it's supposed to be. None of this is how it's supposed to be, baby. Now stop making this a fucking event and go where I told you. I'm going to tear through your ass until the whole campus hears your screams tonight. Maybe that will douse the fire that's been burning inside me since I saw the way that fucker was looking at her. The dots that indicate she's typing appear and disappear, then reappear again before her reply comes in. Naomi, what if I don't want to? Sebastian, you clearly do or you would have broken the spell. You're still an asshole. Stop tempting me with yours. Now go, walk toward the West Wing, and keep going. I'm heading there myself, my strides long and purposeful as my breathing deepens with the promise of the hunt. Owen's parents' house is big enough that they have a few wings. The loud music slowly fades away as I step out of the populated area and stalk in the shadows of the vast garden. The small light coming from the few bulbs gives me a restricted view of the place. This part of the property is rarely used by Owen's family and is only taken advantage of when they need to ride the horses in the stables. But that's not why we're here. The sound of neighing echoes in the air, and soon after I spot the red fabric of Naomi's dress. She's walking slowly, her gaze shifty as she watches her surroundings. There's nothing I love more than that look of both fear and excitement etched on her beautiful features. The way her lips part and her eyes widen. Even her nostrils flare the slightest bit, but it's not visible in the semi-darkness. The horses neigh again and Naomi flinches, slapping a hand to her chest. My dick grows rock fucking hard as I stalk in a parallel line to her, remaining in the shadow of the stables so she doesn't see me. It'll be fucking worth it when I finally jump her, then tackle her to the ground and take her like the caveman she described me to be. The light of her phone casts a glow on her face as she types with stiff fingers, her gaze shifting at the slightest sounds. Soon after, my phone vibrates. Naomi. And then what? Sebastian. And then You run. 26. Sebastian. If I sat down in front of any of the therapists who my grandparents made sign NDAs that basically said their souls would be sold on the black market if they divulged any of my secrets, they would have told me I need coping mechanisms. Maintenance, cognitive behavioral therapy, group therapy. All the good stuff therapists love to sing in different tunes to avoid spelling out the word insane. You're different, they would say. It's okay to be different. That's about the only thing I came out of therapy with. Being different could be either a blessing or a curse depending on how I treat it. If I act like a victim, that's all I'm ever going to be. If I act like the assailant, however, things could diverge in another direction. I found out early on that I couldn't be obvious about my purging, and that's when it became tricky. My bursts of violence could only be hidden for so long before my grandparents caught up to my activities. So I bottled them inside until they began to fester and metaphorically attack my internal organs like cancer with no cure. Until her. The girl who's running because I ordered her to. Because she wants it as much as I do. Because she has bursts of violence too, only she's on the receiving end of it. Her direction is neither methodical nor calculated as she lets her legs carry her across the vast grounds. My blood pumps hot in my veins, and the internal festering I've been experiencing for years disappears. My chest constricts, but my legs stretch, and I sprint behind her. My nostrils flare, and my muscles turn rigid with the promise of the chase. Naomi flinches when her foot catches on something on the ground, but my pretty little toy doesn't stop, doesn't pause, and doesn't ever look back, like a perfect prey whose only concern is to run away. She's fast, even with the way her dress clings to her thighs with every move, even with how her pace is frantic and disorganized at best. I breathe in her fear that's permeating the air and listen to the sound of her shattered breaths that break the silence of the night. The music from the main house still reaches us, but I don't hear it over my controlled movements and her frantic ones. Naomi gives it her all. It's never half-assed or a makeshift attempt at escape. She sprints at the highest speed her body allows, like she's running for her life. Sometimes I believe she's really scared, that deep down this whole thing has taken on more weight than it should. Sometimes I believe it when she begs me to stop and tries to crawl away from me. Sometimes I think it's the wiser option to stop. But I don't. Ever. Because the thing that beats inside me, the beast, as she called it, is unrestrained. She shouldn't have given him a taste because now all he wants is more. Even if that ends up destroying both of us. My pretty toy is fast despite her short legs, but I'm faster. She's determined to run, but I'm more hell-bent on catching her. It doesn't take me long to be right at her heels as the sound of my shoes echoes in the air. She squeaks, literally, and that fuels me with an unrestrained lust for violence, and her. It's a new urge I didn't know I had until I fucked her on the stairs of her house. I don't only have the urge for violence now, I have the urge to fuck Naomi, own her, and make her scream. I have the urge to drag my fingers through her hair, suck on her tits, and watch her fearful yet thrilled expression. Her pace picks up, and I let her believe she can get away from me. The prey tastes sweeter when she thinks there's a way out. There isn't, not for me anyway, and definitely not for Naomi. She darts around in a zigzag pattern, probably thinking she can lose me that way. I block her right, forcing her to change direction toward a cottage Owen and I visited not so long ago. Her eyes widen when they land on the small building, probably not expecting to find it at the corner of the vast piece of land. Her moment of hesitation is all it takes to bring her down. My hand shoots forward and I grab a hold of her nape. The scared, squealing sound she releases is music to my ears. Even her scent of lily and peaches is mixed with the primitive smell of fear. Her limbs flail around as she squirms and attempts to free herself from my hold, to no avail. It's cute that she thinks she can fight me. Even after all this time of being effortlessly subdued by my strength, she's never gone down without a fight. She likes it, she said once. The fight, the wrestling, the clawing. She likes toying with the beast and provoking him for more. But most of all, she likes leaving her mark on me as much as I leave it on her. I clutch her wrists and yank them behind her back, then fist my other hand in her hair. Not a fucking word. No, please. Her lips are trembling more than usual, her pulse beating even harder than the last time I fucked her against a tree in the forest. For a normal person, that would have been a red flag, something to back out from. But my beast roars to the surface, taking control of me. All I see is red, on her skin, on her cunt, everywhere around her. Please, please. Her voice breaks and wetness shines on her lids. Shut your fucking mouth. I push her inside the cottage and she stumbles, her legs nearly failing her before she gets back up again. I hit the light switch with my shoulder and I kick the door closed behind us. Interruptions are the last thing I want for what I'm planning for her. Naomi freezes, her wild dark eyes studying our surroundings. Her gaze flits around the space that's completely filled with mirrors. Owen's mother collects them or something. My toy's dark, mesmerizing eyes are big and dilated as they meet mine through the mirror across from us. Her petite lips part and her chest rises and falls harshly as the realization of where I've brought her slowly registers. My gaze holds hers hostage as I speak. You will watch your face as I fuck you. You'll look at how fucking wanton you become when my dick fills that tight cunt of yours. Her head shakes the slightest bit. I wouldn't have perceived it if it weren't for my hold on her hair. No, please, please, don't. Her eyes beg me more than her words. The way they widen, filling with fresh, unshed tears. The way they soften until she looks like the most breakable I've seen. And that's all that my beast sees, the need to ruin her. You came here dressed like a slut. Is that what you want to be treated as? Do you want your cunt filled with my cum? No. How about your ass? No, please. Have you had anyone in that tight hole of yours, my filthy slut? No. So it's as virgin as your cunt was when I first took it? Yes. Will you bleed for me this time too? Please don't hurt me. Please, stop. It's a game of ours. Her please no means yes please, and her stop means go on. I shove her down and she gasps as her knees hit the floor. Then I release her hair and lift her up so her ass is in the air. She tries to look back, but I smack her on her half-visible ass cheek. Eyes ahead. Look at your flushed cheeks. She's hesitant for half a second before complying. Soon after, her dark gaze meets mine through the mirror. Her wrists are in my hand at her back. Her shoulder blades and her cheek hit the floor as I feel up the round globes of her ass. Every time she sucks in a breath or releases what resembles a mewling sound, my touch becomes rougher and more demanding. I rip down her panties and inhale her sweet arousal. It smells different from when she's compliant or when I shove my fingers inside her cunt at her house. It's more potent now, more enticing, more terrified. I hit her ass and she startles. Then as if out of a trance, she fights. Fuck how she fights. Her tiny body jerks and her legs try to kick me in the balls, even when the elastic of her panties leave red lines around her thighs. My dick is rock fucking hard against my jeans as I hold her tighter, showing her who's in charge. I spank her again and she jolts, a sob tearing from her throat and bouncing off the walls. Stop, please. My hand flattens against her firm globe of flesh, and what resembles a moan mixes with her whimpers. Please, please. That's it, beg me for it. Beg me to fill your cunt with my dick. Her eyes widen as they lock on my lighter ones through the mirror. I don't recognize the manic look in my eyes, the complete abandon and the fucking need for more. More of her, of this. My nails sink into the softness of her flesh hard until she gasps. Do it. Beg. What? You'll beg for it like a good slut tonight. Say, please fill my holes with your cum. She shakes her head, but it's hesitant, lost even. But one thing doesn't lie, the reddening of her cheeks as she fixates on me. Beg for it, Naomi. Her lips part, probably because it's the first time I've used her name during our fucked up fantasy. We've had some sort of an unspoken rule that says we're different people during the chase. I'm the beast, and she's the toy. I'm the monster, and she's the prey. But I couldn't give a fuck about any of that tonight. Maybe it's because of the way she looks in the sexiest sin dress, or how her body feels hotter. Or maybe, somewhere in my brain, she's already evolved to more. The fucked up sex was once all the connection we had, but now, it goes hand in hand with everything we have. Breaking the invisible rule might not be the wisest thing to do, but I couldn't care less. Maybe she couldn't care less either because her tongue darts out to lick her lips before she whispers, "Please." Please what? Say the fucking words. Please fill me. With what? Your cum. Please fill me with your cum. I don't even know how the fuck I have the presence of mind to free my dick. All I can register is her whimper as I slam inside her wet heat. She's soaking, but her expression contorts as I go all the way in. I like it when I hurt her. Her body naturally submits to mine, and she releases these small noises that make me harder. Her expressions of both awe and pain that I can't get enough of. Or her, because that's what this is all about. Her. It might have started with my twisted urges, but they soon mixed with her own fantasies, and now we're just two fucked up souls feeding off each other's depravity. We're two monsters who made peace with the darkness. An animalistic groan spills from me as I pound into her. Beg, Naomi, beg me for more. Please, give it to me, please. She strains, moaning, and her breathy voice is the sexiest thing I've ever heard. Harder? Yes, yes, yes. Hurt me, fuck me. Rougher? Yes. Like this. I pull back almost all the way, then pound back in while my finger forces entry into her ass. She shrieks her orgasm as her cunt strangles me. Yes, yes, please, please, more. Do you want me to tear into this tight hole as well, my dirty whore? Want me to stretch it so I'm the first one there? Please. I didn't think I would ever enjoy hearing her say yes or beg for my rough, unapologetic side, but my dick thickens inside her. The mere sound of her voice is an aphrodisiac made for me. Only me. I coat another finger with her juices and ram it into her tight hole. She bucks off the floor, her back arching, but she's completely helpless as she rides out her orgasm. Her back hole contracts around my fingers, the tight ring of nerves swallowing me in. I can't, please, she sobs. You're too big in my pussy. I can't fit you there. I release her wrists and she falls on her elbows, but instead of attempting to escape, she stumbles back into position. My voice drops in volume, and I feel the shiver in her when I speak. You think I fucking care? As if possible, both her cunt and ass clench around me, and I use the chance to thrust in a third finger, slower this time, lubing her with her own juices. Naomi's shriek is one of both pleasure and pain as tears cascade down her cheeks. Do you feel me stretching you so you can take my dick? She lowers her head, but I grab her by the hair, fingers digging into her scalp as I pull my fingers and dick out of her. Look at me own every fucking hole you have to offer. Tears fill her eyes, but a look of complete ecstasy covers her features as I slam into her tight hole. Oh, fuck. I bite my lower lip as my balls slap against her ass cheeks. Naomi screams a piercing sound that nearly pops my eardrums. Her face is flushed red as her tears wash over her wretched expression. I stop for a second as her stiff back muscles stretch around me. Don't stop, she gasps, then blurts, Don't stop, please don't stop. I wasn't planning to. What seems like a relieved expression paints her face before she sobs. Fuck me. Fuck me harder, Sebastian. She doesn't have to ask me twice. I drive into her with a level of madness I haven't felt before, one where it's only me and her. I don't give a fuck if it's the beast and the toy or the quarterback and the cheerleader. All I need is her strangling me, crying, begging for more, then begging me to stop, then begging for more all over again. My balls hit her firm ass with every thrust, making her cry out until her voice is hoarse. My deep, guttural growl fills the air as I come inside her. I don't even think about it as I ejaculate all the way in, filling her with my cum until she's mewling, whether in pleasure or pain, I have no clue. One thing's for certain, though. We broke some sort of a glass wall between us tonight. It might have been invisible before, but it was always there, stopping us from going too deep. Too raw, too hard. Now, there's nothing to stop us. Not even ourselves.
27. Naomi. There's intense, and then there's whatever the hell just happened. A few weeks ago, I wouldn't have dreamt something like this would be my reality, that I would reach the level of depravity I only watched in true crime shows. But this is different. What Sebastian and I have is more dangerous than some deviant sexual behavior serial killers possess. We don't fantasize about hurting people. He fantasizes about hurting me, and I fantasize about being hurt by him and being the subject of his rough desires. It's probably not that simple, though, is it? Because no matter how twisted we become, we're still thirsty for more. I know I am. Fuck Akira and anyone who judges me for my fantasies that I'm not using to hurt anyone. After our breathing levels out, I'm well prepared for Sebastian to leave me on the floor and never turn back. It's his modus operandi, and using names won't change that. At least that's what I thought. As I attempt to crawl into a standing position and beg Luce to drive me home, strong arms wrap around me, imprisoning me in place. I startle, a small gasp falling from my lips as I grip Sebastian's strong shoulders for balance. He brings me down so we're both lying on a small carpet that barely fits both of us. He pulls me closer, so I'm lying on his chest, and a steady heartbeat is right beneath my ear. Even his pulse is as strong as him, steady, powerful, and alluring. The pads of his fingers stroke my shoulder blade in a steady rhythm. I catch a glimpse of us in the mirror across the room. The image is different from when he was taking my ass savagely and without holding back. We're naked after he stripped us both earlier. Our scattered clothes form a mess on the floor. But that's the last thing I'm focused on when his strong body spoons around me. His leg is thrown over mine, as if he's forbidding me from running. Or maybe he seeks the closeness. But that doesn't make sense. Why would he when our arrangement has been clear and direct since the beginning? We're using each other, and that's all, right? He does pursue me afterward, but that's only after he's spent some time away, be it half an hour or even a few minutes. There always needs to be some distance put between us so the beast can morph into the man I know. The star quarterback with a fan page that worships at his feet and even knows his morning routine. Not that I'm stalking him on social media or anything. I'm not that desperate. Oh, shut up, Naomi. Anyhow, point is, this is the first time Sebastian has gotten close right after he's finished. Maybe he's still the beast. Maybe he's not done tormenting me. Though the promise of another round causes my core to throb, I really don't think I'll be able to take it. I can already feel the soreness in my ass and even my pussy. I need to go home and rub some oil on it. And yeah, I kind of have a collection of those ever since this crazy asshole started chasing me. What are you doing? I murmur, staring at his reflection in the mirror. Sebastian is entranced by the back and forth of his finger on my shoulder, as if he's relearning something about his anatomy. Or mine. What type of question is that? A simple one. You shouldn't be here right now. Then where should I be? I don't know. Outside? So you want a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of thing? That's not what I meant. His fingers crawl up my shoulder to my collarbone until he wraps them around my throat. The hold isn't tight, but the threat is there. Even the subtle drop in his voice is an indication of his mood. Whether I leave or stay is only up to me to decide. So how about you get used to that, baby? He's calling me baby, so he can't be in his beast mode right now. How am I supposed to take it? I taunt. Like a good girl. Don't call me that. Do you prefer being called a good slut? Stop it. My cheeks burn. I don't appreciate being called a slut outside of, you know. That I do know. He loosens his grip but doesn't release me as he fingers the pulse point. How do you know? We've been together for long enough that I can read your body language. It's the first thing I notice about people. Why? His voice is absent-minded, seeming deep in thought. I think it's because I was taught to be mindful of what type of image I project onto the world. And that gave you the opportunity to learn about people's body language? Yes. Just like that? Just like that. You would be surprised how much people divulge about themselves with a simple gesture. A rub of the nose, sweaty hands, fidgeting, or even looking at a person for too long gives me a hint of their state of mind. Only a hint? Why not the whole picture? Because it's never enough. Their clothes, posture, and way of talking are what completes it. Usually, one meeting is enough to determine whether the person is a friend or foe. What category was I in? I tease. Sebastian's expression, however, is blank. Only his furrowed brow is an indication of what I assume is confusion. Or maybe it's displeasure? Neither. He says quietly. I thought those were the only categories you have. Are there others I should know about? Not yet. Come on, that's not fair. Never claimed to belong to that neurotypical category. Because you read people? Because I tactfully avoid the bad kind. Aren't you bad yourself? Depends on the circumstances. Such as? Being threatened, for instance. Considering your selective skills, you'd be able to prevent danger. You should become a detective. Long hours for minimum wage? No thanks. Greedy too, I see. I'm not greedy. I just recognize my worth. It'd be an insult to my IQ to follow a career that won't lead me anywhere. So helping people get justice leads nowhere? Depends on your definition of justice. There are more than one? Of course. What do you think of when the word justice comes to mind? That people should pay for what they've done. That's just simplistic. I hit his shoulder. And what's your non-simplistic view? Justice is a system that's been put in place so the powerful can get away with their wrongdoings under the blanket of righteousness. They legalized their barbaric ways and made laws to protect themselves from naive fools who still think that good will always win. Like all systems, justice is daily tampered with, so that truths are twisted and the innocent are wrongly accused for no other reason than being a convenient scapegoat for the people who call the shots. Wow, that's such a cynical view of the world. He raises his brow, a small smile tugging on his lips. You of all people ought to understand that, since you're sarcastic about everything. Being sarcastic doesn't make me cynical. With your dark sense of humor, it does. I don't have a dark sense of humor. He lifts his hand and shows it to me. See that? I frown. What? The black covering my hands when I accidentally touch your humor. Not funny. I fight a smile as I run my fingers over the script of his tattoo. What does this mean? My mind is my only cage. That's beautiful, especially coupled with the Japanese one. Did someone translate them for you? No. So you translated it yourself? That's impressive. Usually people get all sorts of wrong stuff tattooed on them. I can speak for Japanese, but I heard it happens for Arabic, too. He raises a brow. Is my Japanese correct? Perfectly. When did you get them? When I was 18. I wish I was brave enough to get one. We'll go together and get matching tattoos. For some reason, that idea doesn't seem so crazy to me. I snuggle into him as a chill travels down my spine. He's so warm, and I don't only mean physically. There's something about him that I'm slowly learning. He has a black and white view of the world, but acts as if it's gray. In a way, he's emulating feelings he doesn't have, and I find that utterly fascinating. Is it a defense or a coping mechanism? Or maybe he really is antisocial. At any rate, all I want is to learn more about him, because apparently I've been fooled by his image all this time. When I shiver again, he reaches for his jacket and throws it over my nakedness. Though it's a pity to hide your tits. Are you a sex addict? I joke. Maybe. Who knows? He lifts a shoulder as if that's a normal occurrence. Now, back to your beloved justice. Do you still believe in it? I do. I believe in the concept that what goes around comes around. Isn't that karma? Another form of how justice manifests. Why? Why what? Why do you believe in justice? I lick my lips and I can feel my walls slowly crumbling. Maybe it's the fact that our conversation is so easy, or that I appreciate him holding me instead of leaving me a bit too much. At any rate, the words leave me easier than I would have ever thought. When I was in kindergarten, there were a bunch of white girls who bullied me. One of them said I was yellow like a banana and often called me names. She told me her mom said that it's because of yellow people like me coming here all the time that her dad can't find a job. Due to the constant jabs and bullying, I didn't want to go to school anymore, even though I loved my kindergarten teachers. I hid in my closet and refused to come out. But one day, Mom grabbed me by the elbow and yanked me out of there. Did you do something wrong, No-chan? She asked me. And when I shook my head, she said, then why are you hiding as if you did? So I explained the situation with big, ugly tears. I felt so wronged, so victimized, and it made me frustrated. I thought Mom would share my feelings, but her expression remained stern as she told me, don't be scared of people who judge you because of the color of your skin or where you came from. Look them in the eyes and show them with action that you're here to stay. And I did. I got back to school and didn't bow down. When they became vicious, I became just as vicious. Soon after, that girl and her friends lost interest and stopped bothering me. Sebastian remains silent for a beat before he asks, is that why you believe in justice? It's part of the reason. The other part is because I need it to be real. What for? So those who hurt people weaker than them pay. My voice breaks at the end and it doesn't escape his notice. He stares down at me and I lower my gaze as I swallow. I was 9 and he was Mom's boyfriend. I feel the way he turns rigid, how his muscles become as hard as granite. When he speaks, his voice is tight and closed. What did he do? He came into my room when Mom stepped out to do some late-night work. She didn't usually leave me alone with him, and he hadn't made a move on me before. But I knew, somehow, since I didn't feel comfortable around him. It was as if he was biding his time for the right moment. For that night. I remember waking up, startled as if I'd had a nightmare, but I couldn't remember it. I recall my hazy vision slowly getting used to the darkness, to the motifs of the sun on my curtains, the curves of them and the way they seemed like headless monsters in the darkness. I've never forgotten that sight, even 12 years later. I also remember the scent of alcohol, pungent and harsh to my nostrils. It's why I don't like drinking much, even now. It's strange how the brain remembers things like that, but I couldn't erase them if I tried. It took me a few disoriented seconds to realize there was a heavy weight perching over my small body and hands feeling up my chest and between my legs. I remember wanting to vomit as a coaxing voice told me to stay quiet, whispered it with his alcohol-scented breath near my ear. But then, I lost track of it all. It was dark, too dark, and there were screams. I think they were mine, at least at some point. I swear there was red, too, like blood. It was sticky and all over my fingers and face. But I don't remember how it got there. I don't even remember how I fainted. The next time I woke up, I was tucked against my mom's chest as she cried softly in my hair. It was the first and last time I've seen her cry. She's more powerful than the world itself, my mom. She's the strongest woman I know, but she was weeping like a child. I couldn't return those emotions because grief wasn't what I was feeling back then. It was anger. Blind, ugly anger. I was mad at her for leaving me with him. I think I've been mad at her since because justice didn't happen. She just cut off ties with that scum, and he got to move on with his life as if he didn't ruin mine. She let him get away with it so he could find others to prey on. Burning tears prick my eyes when I'm finished, and the sting hurts just like the memories from that night. As foggy as they are, they're still there. Haunting, taunting. The red night made me who I am, whether I like to admit it or not. It made me scared of people, of attachment, of allowing anyone close. And most of all, it made me grow apart from the only family I have, my mom. Sebastian remains quiet, even as his finger strokes my throat. I sniffle, waiting for long beats and getting nothing. Did I divulge too much? Should I somehow take it back? What's his name? He finally asks. Why are you asking? Answer the question. Sam. Sam what? Miller. Sam Miller. He nods as if satisfied, but he doesn't say anything. His gaze lost someplace else. Why do you want to know his name? Just curious. That's all you have to say after what I just told you? He breathes deeply for a few beats. I also understand why you enjoy being my prey. You think I'm depraved, don't you? I think you're brave. How can someone who enjoys the repetition of their childhood trauma be brave? It's not the repetition you enjoy. I obviously do. No. You enjoy knowing that you can end it at any time. You're brave to recognize what you want while having control over the situation. So, in a way, you like having the power you weren't fortunate enough to possess back then. My lips part. Are you using your people reading technique on me? I always have, Sundara. I clear my throat. Let's pretend what you're saying is true. There's no pretending. You and I know it is. Fine. Let's take it from that perspective. If I enjoy it for the control, why do you enjoy it? For domination. But I can end it at any time. But you don't. I could, but you wouldn't. How do you know that? You're addicted to this as much as I am. You love being fucked hard until your voice turns raw and you're sobbing through your 10th orgasm. That still means I could use the words. You won't, because you know that will destroy the connection we have. And let me guess, you get off on that type of domination. Besides the one where I throw you down and dick you into the nearest object, yes. But that's not all. Your need for violence? He nods. I've had it since I was the lone survivor of the accident that took away my parents. I'm sorry. I told you to stop apologizing for things you had no hand in. It's in my nature. We can't all be emotionless vaults like you, who only feel when violence is involved. That's the thing. He looks at me funny. My urge for violence has become less important since you. 28. Naomi. You know that feeling when you're so excited you can't stay still? When your fingers keep clenching and unclenching to do something, and you feel like throwing up from the strength of those emotions? That's me, right now. I skip over the steps as I go downstairs. I'm humming along with a tune from a rock song I was blasting first thing this morning while I got ready. Today, I abandoned my headphones in my room, and I even wore a short dress with pink and white stripes. Mom made me this one for my birthday 2 years ago, and I never wore it. I was even mad that she'd think I'd appreciate something so cheerful. Today, I'm in the mood for brightness. For happiness, I guess. After last night, there are no other words to describe what I feel right now. Not only did I have a heart-to-heart with Sebastian, but I also ripped open the stitches and allowed a weight to lift off my chest for the first time since that red night. The therapists don't count. They thought my negative emotions toward my mother were toxic, that I was destroying the mother-daughter relationship we could be having. They secretly judged me for it, and I secretly saw my mom reflected on their faces. Sebastian, however, didn't. He didn't call me a freak or irrational. He understood. Not only that, but he told me things about himself, too. Instead of going back to the party, we kept on talking. Me about my dad and how I hired a PI to find him just so he could tell me that he's most likely dead. And Sebastian told me about his uncle and how they have a power struggle against his grandparents. Nathaniel Weaver intrigued me since I met him that time. Not only is he cool, collected, but he also seems to be the only person Sebastian respects enough to hold on a high pedestal. I say respect because I don't think he's capable of caring, at least not in the traditional sense of the word. But even that doesn't stop me from celebrating the fact that I feel more emotionally close to him than I have been with anyone else before. Even Lucy doesn't know about how deep my mess goes. She's aware of my daddy issues, but not really my mommy ones. She always looks up at Mom and says she's this strong, independent woman that she strives to become one day. That makes one of us. After I got home last night, I was in such a delighted mood that I sat down and wrote a letter, too. This time, I sent it. Dear Akira, I know you said you don't want to listen to me whine or talk about my problems, but you're going to. Deal with it or stop writing me. But even if you do, that doesn't mean you'll get rid of me. In case you didn't notice, you're kind of stuck with me and my antics. Again, deal with it, you grumpy asshole. You said I'm just someone who's pretending their life is hard and that I whine more than I take action. You might be right, but fuck you, Akira. Fuck you for judging me and kink-shaming me because it makes you feel good about yourself. Are you the morality police? Or are you just scared about trying out your own kink? And don't tell me you have none, because you mentioned breath play porn once, and that's too specific to not be a fetish. But instead of finding someone who gets off on the same thing, you probably only jerk off to staged porn. Fuck you for implying that I'm pathetic and sick just because I went for what I want. Fuck you for thinking anything two consenting adults do is wrong when you're the one who's screwed in the head. Because you know what? I'm brave enough to stand up for what I want. Instead of running away, I barged in the middle of the scary storm and embraced it. What did you do? Aside from hiding behind your pen and jabbing at me to enable your grandiose self-esteem. Guess what? That self-esteem of yours is merely inflated, just like the thought that you actually have any type of moral compass. And no, Akira, I don't have that compass when it comes to my needs. And the person you described as being as perverted as I am is the one man who didn't judge me. Unlike you, asshole. Go hang a talisman. You'll need it when Yukiono storms through your window at night. The very opposite of love, Naomi. He'll probably send back a scathing reply, but I couldn't care less at this point. I'm not letting Akira or anyone else tell me that I'm doing something wrong, not after what happened last night between me and Sebastian. And it's not only about how I'm walking funny today, despite the number of oils I rubbed on myself or the hours I spent soaking in the bath. It's not about how utterly satisfied I am, both physically and mentally. It's the fact that a bridge has been built between us. Before we were only ever forced to be beast and prey. Now it's different. Now a new emotion has blossomed between us, and I have every intention of exploring it. That's part of the reason why I woke up in an excellent mood. All I want is to go to school and see his face. Maybe kiss him, too. Maybe watch him practice. Maybe provoke him so he'll chase me. My wild train of thought scatters when the sound of arguing comes from the living room. Mom is talking rapid fire as two male voices try to interrupt her. I usually wouldn't bat an eye at the sound of people in the house since she brings her staff over for meetings all the time. The fact that they're all speaking in Japanese is what makes me pause. I said no. Mom's voice is hard, more than usual, that is, and I can sense tendrils of her anger simmering to the surface. You don't have a choice, Sato-san, a man says with a hint of suppliance. Never have, for that matter. Another one speaks, and the calm in his tone somehow causes sharp needles to erupt at the base of my neck. Get out of my house! Mom shrieks. Both of you out! You're making a grave mistake, just like you did 22 years ago. The first one says, Be rational, Sato-san. I lost that part of me the day I lost that last name. It's Chester now. And I will not be intimidated by you or him. Tell him that the days of me running away are over. Do you hear me? They're over. That's not very wise, Sato-san. The second man emphasizes. She said her last name is Chester. I step out of the shadows, my fists balled at my sides. Mom and I have our differences, but I would beat anyone who bullies her the hell up. Not that I thought anyone was able to bully my mom, who's always been larger than life and just as intimidating. 3 pairs of eyes slide to me. Mom's are frantic. The 2 men's are contemplative at best. One is short and older, around his mid-30s. The other is taller, leaner, and looks way younger. Probably around my age. Both men are Asian and are wearing dark suits with a white shirt and no ties. The taller one has black button earrings, and what appears to be a tattoo of a snake peeks from his collar up the side of his neck. His looks are discreet, like some sort of a smart accountant who somehow turns out to be a serial killer. A shiver rattles me at the way he's watching me with an intent that could break stones. His gaze is sharper than that of the other one, who has a round face and a bland stare. I inch closer to Mom so we're both facing them and whisper, Who are these people? No one you should worry about, she says in English, then switches to Japanese. Leave right now or I'll call 911. If you could, you would have done that already. The short one replies in the same language. I'll call them if you don't leave us in peace, I say in Japanese, while I point my phone at them as if it's some sort of a weapon. The taller man smiles, but it's predatory at best. Or maybe it's amused? I'm not sure which way to read the glint in his eyes. He offers me his hand. My name is Ren. Pleased to meet you, Hito. Mom steps in front of me like a mama bear ready to cut a bitch down. Her words are growly and deep. Leave. Now. You're making a grave mistake, the shorter one tells her. The tall one, Ren, peers over Mom, which isn't hard since she's short, and smiles at me. The feeling of being targeted hits me again. We'll meet again, Naomi-san. Mom looks ready to grab a bat, or better yet her gun, and shoot them down, but they bow, perfectly demonstrating Japanese manners, and then waltz out the door. Neither Mom nor I bow back, which is considered rude. Our feet remain caged in place as we watch the front door until their car, a black van, leaves the property. Wait. A black van? Images of the van that followed me a few weeks ago slip back in my mind, but I quickly shoo them away. I'm making up stories again, and that's never a good thing. Mom's posture relaxes a little, but she doesn't lose the sharp look in her dark eyes or stop breathing harshly through her teeth. It's the first time I've seen her beside herself since the Red Night. She has always acted cool and collected, and I actually started to doubt if she has a heart or if it was replaced by ice at some point. Who were those men, Mom? No one. They were clearly someone. Are they from your past? Her gaze snaps in my direction and her pupils are so dilated it's like she's on drugs. Why are you saying that? They called you by your old last name. Right, that. What other reason would there be for me saying that? It's nothing. There's obviously something going on. Why did Ren say, pleased to meet you, Hito? Do I have another name? She purses her lips. Your only name is Naomi Chester. That's all you need to know. And erase that motherfucker's name from your memories. You didn't meet a Ren. But go to school now. You'll be late. I want to argue and be mad. I want to demand being in the know about things happening in both our lives. But the weary look on her face stops me. Dark circles line the bags under her eyes, and her face is a pale shade of white. It's been that way for a few weeks now. Is she even sleeping properly? I should get her one of those sleep aids from the pharmacy later. While I don't want to make a big deal out of it, I also can't pretend as if nothing happened. I'm not a little girl anymore, Mom. I can sense when things are wrong, no matter how well you hide it. So instead of keeping me in the dark, how about you just talk to me? Her expression softens a little, her voice softer, lower. How about you? Me? Will you talk to me, Na-chan? About what? About why you no longer look me in the eyes for more than a second, and how you don't kiss me goodnight anymore. I'm not a little girl. I can see that. She smiles a little. You even have a boyfriend. Sebastian isn't my boyfriend. Is that why you make out when you think I'm not looking? My cheeks flame as images of what we did rush back in. You saw that? She nods. He looks like a good kisser. Mom! Fine. I won't tease you about your first boyfriend. I had Barry from middle school. The one you dumped because he didn't like anime and manga. Barry made fun of me for reading manga. Sebastian doesn't. No. I kick an imaginary rock. He even thinks my sketches are cool. That's because he has a good eye. Thanks, I say awkwardly, lowering my head as I make my way to the door. Na-chan? She calls after me in an affectionate tone that she hasn't used since I was young. I stare at her over my shoulder. Yeah? Come home early. I need to tell you something. I pause at the vulnerability in her voice and the way she grabs the cigarette pack and fingers it. But then I whisper, okay. I've been wanting her to talk to me for a long time. But why do I have a feeling that this might not be what I bargained for? At all. 29. Naomi. I'm still thinking about the weird encounter with those two men during my morning classes. It's impossible not to, considering all the facts that line up. They knew Mom's old name. They're Japanese. They drive a black van. Oh, and one of them was so pleased to meet me that he called me a different name altogether. I hope I'm just being paranoid, and that whatever Mom will tell me doesn't have anything to do with them. The moment I dismiss any thoughts of them, they rush back in. Especially Ren. There's something about Ren. But what? No. Are you listening? Lucy waves a hand in front of my face. Oh, sorry. I grimace as I shove my books into my bag after the professor leaves. I'm ready to get to lunch and lose myself in Sebastian. What did you say? Lucy rolls her eyes. I was asking if you were too busy boning to answer my text. Luce? I cast a glance at our surroundings before I murmur, who even says boning anymore? I do. Besides, everyone knows you and Sebastian are a thing. We're not a thing. What are you then? I weigh my words as we step out of the lecture hall. Really, what are we? Mom called him my boyfriend, and Lucy implied we're a thing. Is that what we are? A couple? We might not have started under traditional circumstances, but we started. We're there. Or here. Or whatever. Our relationship is no longer only sexual. Maybe it has never been only sexual from the beginning. We're just us, I tell Lucy with a grin. No. She trails off, then clears her throat. Maybe you shouldn't get too comfortable in Sebastian's company. Why? Well, he's a weaver and the quarterback, and all of that comes with attention. I'm fine, so far. Are you sure? Because he's popular and has that whole limelight thing you hate so much. Oh, come on, Luce. Spare me the hypocrisy. I hate Raina and her mean girls, but I didn't ask you to not be comfortable in their company. I never whined about how you spend most of your time at her house, playing dress-up and worshipping the goddess of beauty to keep you forever young. I respected your choice, so please respect mine. You're right. She gulps. I was out of line. I'm sorry. It's okay. I didn't mean to be bitchy. I'm just worried about you now. I've never seen you this lost in a man before. I thought it was just a crush, but it's turning into something a lot deeper than that. Don't worry, it's just a crush. With depraved sex. But I spare Lucy the details. My phone vibrates and I smile when I see his name. Sebastian. I'm running late because of Coach. Wait for me before you start eating. Sebastian. I have something of yours. He attaches a picture of his veiny hand holding a bottle of apple juice. I grin like an idiot as I type. Naomi. I had juice this morning. Sebastian. Not my special type. Prepare that mouth for me. Naomi. Stop it. Sebastian. I was talking about the juice. Where did your mind go, baby? My cheeks catch fire as I shove the phone back in my pocket and listen to Lucy talking about her upcoming exams. There's still a big game for the Black Devils this Friday, so we'll lose an entire evening and the days leading up to it. Scoffs and groans echo in the air as Lucy and I approach the table where the cheer squad and the football players sit. My guess is that it's more about me rather than my best friend, who awkwardly sits down. I join her too, pretending to be oblivious to the animosity as I swing my bag to my side. They wouldn't be this obvious about it if Sebastian was sitting me on his lap. Lucy said whenever anyone attacks me, he'll level them with the look from behind my back, and it's enough to shut them up. Well, at least most of them. Brianna, Raina, and Owen are rogue. Prescott too, though he's not as talkative as the rest of them. Now that Sebastian is caught up with his coach, I'm all alone on the battlefield. It's not that I need his protection, considering I was doing just fine before he came along. But it feels good to not be in a constant state of war with the world. Brianna is still as nasty as ever, but everyone else isn't. It's as if they're finally acceptant of me, and as a result, I haven't been as venomous or sarcastic as I was in the past. Besides, I'm in a good mood today, and no one will ruin it. Excuse me. Brianna taps her glittery nails on the table in front of me. To what do I owe the pleasure, B? I mock. It's Bree, she screeches, her veins tightening in her red neck, seeming to be on the verge of popping. And your ass is not welcome here, you skank. I stare around the table, pretending to search for something. I don't see your name anywhere here, so I can sit my ass anywhere I like. You must think you're all that just because Sebastian looked in your trashy direction, bitch. Bree, Raina calls while stroking circles on her temples. She's been silent, almost meek lately, no longer tormenting me as if it's her favorite sport. I'm done playing, Ray. It's time this fucking bitch learns her place. It's gone on for long enough, Josh says through a mouthful of French fries. I stare at everyone present at the table. Some snicker, others smirk, and most are elbowing each other and murmuring under their breaths. As if they're all in on a joke I'm not privy to. I stare at Raina because, with Sebastian out of the picture, she's the one who calls the shots. What's going on? Over here. Brianna taps her long finger in front of me again. Game over, Naomi. Bree. Prescott shakes his head at her, and Lucy's lips part in pure shock. Is someone going to tell me what's going on? I don't recognize the spooked tone in my voice or the premonition of something horrible rushing my way. Brianna's shrill laughter echoes around us, and for some reason my limbs lock. Did you really think Sebastian would be interested in someone as unimportant as you just because? Are you that dumb to believe that's possible? The only reason he ever approached you is because we dared him to fuck you, take your V-card, and make a show of it. But you went ahead and fell for the bet like the stupid little bitch you are. I'm so stunned for a second that I don't speak. My ears feel like they're closing, and the shadow around me seems like it's coming from underwater. Something feels off. Me. I feel totally off. It's like I'm frozen and there's nothing to unfreeze me or even allow me to move. Uh-oh, someone laughs. And for the life of me, I can't figure out who. She's broken. The snickers and laughter rise in volume, and all I can do is sit there, staring numbly ahead of me. At Raina. That's not true, I murmur. Somewhere deep inside me, I know it is. Everything makes sense. The way he was insistent about courting me, the way he inserted himself into my life and refused to leave, no matter how much I tried to kick him out. Oh, it is true. Josh licks his upper lip. It should have been me, not him. Come on, Ray. Let it be me this time. Say it, I whisper to Raina. Say it's not true. She releases a sigh, letting her hands drop on the table. Do you really believe that? No. No, I don't. But if she says it, there won't be anything to compete against. It's Raina's word against all their nonsense. Surely there's an alternative reality where all of this is a distasteful joke. You're the only distasteful joke here, Naomi. It was so cute watching you act like a puppy in love when we all knew Sebastian was playing with you. Brianna laughs. Didn't she look like a perfect fool? Many agree and laugh. Some point their fingers at me as the whispers erupt. What a joke. Look at her. She is still broken. Someone call the doctor. Even her friend knew. My gaze snaps to my side to find Lucy staring at her lap, zipping and unzipping her bag at a rapid speed. Her face is red, her freckles dark, and her lips are pursed. Tears I never wanted to shed in front of these assholes fill my lids. When I speak, my voice is so low and pained, it's like it's coming from a dark corner I didn't know existed inside me. You knew? She slowly stares up at me with tears clinging to her lashes. It's not that. You knew. It's not a question, but a mere statement of facts from the way her brows are knitted and her nose is scrunching. The girl I called my best friend was well aware of the game played against me and didn't say anything. I stagger to a standing position and grab my bag with stiff fingers. My arm feels as heavy as my tongue inside my mouth. The need to cry is so strong that all I see is blurry lines. All I hear is the taunts and whispers, the jabs and mockery. All I taste is the salty bitterness of my tears. All I feel is the need to crawl somewhere no one will see me and sob my heart out. A shadow falls over me and I don't have to look to see who it is. The man I thought was made for me. The man I was thinking of being in a stupid relationship with. When the facts are, he's been using me to chase away his boredom. I believed the depravity he painted, and I thought we were playing a mutual game when he's been playing me all along. He stops a small distance away, probably reading the atmosphere, but it's not far enough to block his scent. It's not far enough to stop the fit of rage I've never experienced before. Forget red. My vision turns pitch fucking black. What's wrong? He asks slowly. I don't think as I grab a glass of water and throw its contents at him, dousing his face and t-shirt. A collective gasp echoes in the group and our surroundings. But I don't wait for them to direct their malicious intent toward me. I don't wait for the humiliation of what I just learned to sink in further. Holding my head high, I rein in the tears stinging my eyes, and march out the door. As soon as I'm outside, I let them flood my cheeks. I let the pain wash over me. And just like that, it feels as if I'm back to being that helpless girl I was 12 years ago.
30. Sebastian. I remain still as I watch Naomi's retreating back. Her movements are stiff at best, her legs carrying her with a force that rattles her bag and makes her short, dark hair swish in the air. She dressed differently today, her pink dress stopping at the middle of her thighs in a girly kind of way. While I hate the idea of anyone looking at her like that, I can't help being sucked into the view. Even as the droplets of water slide down my chin and collarbone, even as laughter and mockery echo in the space, my first instinct is to run after her, catch her, and kiss her. Maybe fuck her. It doesn't matter what I do as long as I'm near her, breathing in her minty scent and having her by my side where she fucking belongs. But I can't leave when the whole campus's attention is veered in the wrong direction. It'll keep escalating from now on, and I'm possibly the only one who can fix it. It took fucking it up for me to step up. So while everything in me is itching to follow after Naomi and grab her by the throat, I can't. The door rattles from its hinges as she slams it shut on her way out. The murmurs and jabs echo louder in the air, mixing and heightening until her name is on every fucking tongue. My teammates are laughing like whores without clients. The cheerleaders are whispering and giggling. Brianna's mouth is open in a shit-eating grin that I want to jam Josh's non-existent balls inside of. Raina massages her temples while Lucy and Prescott have some sort of a mojo silent communication thing going on between them as they stare at each other from across the table. Naomi's friend, or ex-best friend, judging from the way her cheeks are streaked with tears, stands up, probably to follow Naomi. "Sit down, Lucy," Brianna orders with a venomous tone, "or else you're out of the inner circle." "I don't care about that." Lucy's chin trembles as she turns around. I wipe my face with the palm of my hand and let the bottle of juice drop in my backpack. "Sit down." "I need to make sure she's okay." Lucy sniffles. "You should have thought of that before the whole show took place. You might not have been present when the bet was on, but you suspected it. Yet you chose to turn a blind eye because of your position and your privileges. So don't pretend you're all worried now that the deed is done. Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down." Fresh tears flood Lucy's cheeks as she drops to her seat with a whimper. She snuffles in that involuntary way people do when they're flooded with emotions. Or that's what Nate told me once as we watched a boring movie with great acting. Prescott jumps up and stands by her side, then places a hand on her shoulder. A red hue covers his cheeks as he glares at me. "Why the fuck are you taking out your anger on her? It's not Lucy's fault that you accepted the bet and Naomi finally found out your intentions toward her." "My intentions toward her?" I repeat with mock laughter. "You couldn't begin to figure out my intentions toward her, even if you and the whole campus spent sleepless nights trying." "What the hell?" Brianna's brow furrows. "It was just a bet, and it's over. The bitch finally learned her place." My gaze falls on her, and she stiffens. I don't even glare. People spend energy to express their anger because it's foreign to their nature. Not me. All I have to do is drop the mask and let my true self shine through. I stare and allow the rage I've been stifling since I was 6 years old to pour out in somber doses. Even my voice has the lethal, calm edge I often alter so that I don't appear to be a psycho. Call her that again, and I'll make sure you learn your fucking place, Brianna. But she's right. It was just a bet. Josh comes to her rescue like the little bitch he is. Whether it's a bet or a game, it's none of your or anyone else's business if I catch anyone, and I mean anyone, trashing her or bullying her. I'll fuck them up until they wish for death, and I don't mean physically. I'll find the fault in their existence and screw their lives over with it so they'll never be able to be functioning pieces of shits again. All the murmuring, laughter, and jabs come to a halt, and for good reason. I'm not the type who makes idle threats, or any threats at all, really. Being raised in the heart of power didn't teach me to abuse it or to make use of it whenever necessary. On the contrary, it made me more aware of my resources. Having that type of influence at the tip of my fingers is a guarantee, but not if exercised poorly. I only make threats when absolutely necessary, to protect myself, for instance, and her, because at some point Naomi has become an undivided part of my being, and I'd use all the power I have to make sure she stays safe and happy and fucking mine. Relax, dude. Owen laughs, trying to lighten the mood. No one will bully her or make any bets about her again. I meet Raina's blue gaze. She's stopped drawing circles on her temple and is watching me with a slight smile. It almost appears victorious. What the fuck is she celebrating when Naomi is already out of reach? I mean it, Raina. I say, fuck with me, and I'll fuck with you. You can't fuck with me, Bastion. Asher is coming home this weekend, so I very much can. You're well aware of how he loves making your life hell, so don't put me in the fucking mood to instigate it. Her smile drops, and she sucks in a breath. It's not as noticeable as Bree's huffing, or Lucy's sniffling, or Prescott's hushed, soothing words. But it's there, naked from my eye. Our own Queen Bee has a weakness, and I'll use it to make sure she leaves Naomi in peace. Because this might have started with a bet, but it was never the beginning of us. And it sure as fuck isn't going to be the end. We have a bond now. A sacred connection that people spend their entire lives searching for. We found it together. I found her. Someone who accepts me just the way I am without trying to fix me or any of that bullshit. In fact, she gets off on my real nature as much as I got off on hers. And there's no way in fuck I'm letting her slip from between my fingers now that she's finally close. If I have to chase her, so be it. I'll run after her until she realizes there was no escaping me in the first place. Because there's one thing my toy doesn't realize yet. Or maybe it's buried too deep for her to recognize it. She's mine. Body and fucking soul. And it all started the day she got off on having me chase her in the woods. Or maybe it started the first time I saw her 3 years ago when she smiled while she was crying.
31. Naomi. I foolishly believed in something. The fact that I'm strong. That's nowhere near the truth. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be crying hours after I learned the biggest lie of my life. It's a pain I've never felt before, not even during the red night. It's like free-falling to the sun and burning before hitting the bottom. It's like dying while being unable to express any pain. As I sit in my unmoving car, hugging the steering wheel, I mourn a part of me that only saw the light for a while before it was snuffed out. A part that wasn't even supposed to see the light. Sebastian wrenched it out just so he could burn its wings and leave it to drop to its death. But what I mourn the most is my naivety. Since I was a kid, I've made it my mission to build a wall between me and the world, and yet I let him sneak in ever so easily. I didn't fight him enough. But it's not because I didn't want to. It was more because I couldn't. We share a twisted relationship, after all. And not in my wildest dreams did I ever think that type of connection could be faked. Apparently, it can. And I'm a fool for believing otherwise. By the time the afternoon rolls by, I'm done having a pity party on one of the forest's secluded roads. I'll have to get past this somehow. I need to. Otherwise, it'll break me beyond the point of no return. After cleaning my face with some wipes, I hit the gas and head home. Every time I think of the scene in the cafeteria, a fresh wave of tears assaults me, and I have to take deep breaths to stop them from flooding my face. Maybe I was only ever meant to be alone, and I'm just fighting a losing battle. When I take the road to my house, I notice a black van behind me. My heart thumps as I squint, but I still can't make out any faces through their tinted window. The memory of the two men from this morning rushes back in. I wish I'd memorized their plate so I'd know if it was the same people. I step harder on the gas and speed around some other cars, but I don't lose them. In fact, they become more insistent about staying in the same lane as me, right behind me. Oh God, they are after me. My throat closes and my heart beats faster until all I can hear is a low buzzing. My fingers shake around the steering wheel and I keep attempting to escape them. I'm contemplating calling 911 as I'm nearing the exit that leads to my house, but they speed past me. I release a long, tortured breath, even as I watch my rearview mirror all the way home. I stop in our driveway and retrieve my phone. Despite everything that's happened, the pieces of my broken heart jolt when I find several missed calls from Sebastian over the past couple of hours. It's useless to think of myself above this if my heart is yearning for a word from him. Anything. But I'm not that idiot. I never will be. Ignoring his calls and also several from Lucy, I opt to turn off my phone. Just as I'm about to, my screen lights up with another one. Kai. After what he told me about the possibility of my father's death, we've barely talked. I assumed he didn't want to tell me more bad news. In return, I didn't push. Therefore, I didn't receive any further news. Clearing my throat, I answer, "Hello?" "Hey, Naomi." His voice is light, not as serious as the last time. "Is everything okay?" "Yes, actually, I might have some good news for you." I perk up in my seat, my throat dry with the tangible taste of excitement. "What?" "I had a meeting with a few other people who were present the night that picture was taken. Apparently your mother left the club with a different man than the one who owned the car we previously identified." "And do you know who he is?" "I'm getting there. Give me some time and I'll be able to locate him." My chest feels lighter, even if all of this could be smoke and mirrors. After all, Kai could locate this man and find out he's dead too. Or maybe my father is, in fact, the man who already passed away, and I'm just chasing an illusion. But I don't care. As long as there's hope to reunite with Dad, I'll hold on to it with both hands. "Thanks," I murmur. "Don't thank me until I bring him to you. Or maybe I'll take you to him if the circumstances allow for it." "That would be great." I swallow as I stare through the rearview mirror to make sure no one is there. "Kai." "Yes?" "I have a friend who thinks she's being followed by a car. Should she call the police?" He pauses, no sound coming for several seconds until I think he's no longer there. But then he asks in his serious tone, "Did she see the face of who's following her?" "No." "A license plate?" "No." I was too nervous to focus on that. "Anything specific?" "It was just a black van. It's the second or third time she's seen it around." "Calling the police is pointless unless she has something to back her claim. A license plate number is the very least she has to provide." "I see." "Is your friend scared? Feeling threatened?" "A little." "A lot." "Does she suspect anyone?" "It could be people from her parents' past." "Maybe you should distance yourself from her then." Well, I scoff internally at the thought of distancing myself from myself. I'd love that option more than anything right now. After I finish the call with Kai, I step out of my car and drag my feet to the house. I want to collapse and sleep until tomorrow, or next week if that's possible. Then I recall Mom's dark circles and I jog back to the car, get the sleep aid I bought this morning, and go inside. I head to her room, which is rare as hell for me to do, but I guess I just need my mom right now. Just like that red night. It's ironic how we're not really that close, but she's the one person I turn to in my darkest moments. Her bedroom is filled with model sketches, and she has a mannequin in the middle that's wearing half black and half white, like the evil guy in Batman. Countless copies of her couture house's brochures are spread out on the coffee table, and I can't help my smile as I reminisce about how far she's come. She started with nothing and built her way to the top by the sheer force of her determination and ambition, and that alone is awe-inspiring. A few wedding dresses lie on the bed as part of her new collection, I assume. Chester Couture has the most sought-after wedding dresses, and not just anyone can afford them. Mom pays special attention to their design more than anything else. I pause when I see red droplets on one of them. Please tell me she didn't prick her fingers again. Or worse, she overworked herself until she had a nosebleed. I head to the bathroom and raise my hand, about to knock. The sound of heaving stops me in my tracks. It's so raw and haunting that my ears prickle. My unsteady palm pushes the door open, and the scene in front of me cuts me in half. Mom is crouching in front of the toilet, vomiting. But that's not the part that causes my fingers to unclench, letting the bottle crash to the floor. It's the blood marring her hands while she grips the toilet. It's the trails of crimson on her cheeks as she vomits blood. Mom! I run toward her and crouch beside her. What's going on? Are you okay? She heaves a few more times, the sound getting louder and uglier with each passing second. I place a shaking palm on her back, unsure how I'm supposed to react in such a situation. She's vomiting straight out blood, and it splashes all over the white ceramic toilet. I retrieve my phone with a shaky hand. I'm going to call an ambulance. She shakes her head once and motions at a towel. I drop my phone before I grab it and give it to her. She slowly wipes her face, her trembling hand barely holding the towel. I help her get up, and she leans on me to reach the sink. She washes her face and brushes her teeth clean while I stand there watching her close, as if I'm seeing her for the first time. Since when did my mom become so thin that her collarbone is protruding through her tank top? Since when were her dark circles so prominent that there's a shadow beneath her eyes? Also, why is she so pale and her lips chapped? A gloomy halo falls over the bathroom, festering in the corners and triggering an ominous sensation inside me. Mom, should I take you to a doctor? No, I'm fine. Her voice is low, exhausted, like her appearance. But you were vomiting blood just now. That doesn't look fine to me. She wipes her face, and even though the blood is gone, it doesn't look healthy. It's wrong. Everything is. Come with me. She motions at the room with her head, and I follow after her, my steps hesitant and my limbs barely keeping me standing. Why do I feel like I'm a death row inmate being led to the guillotine? Mom sits me down on the sofa beside her and grabs both of my hands in hers. I'm sorry you have to find out this way, Na-chan. I wanted you and myself more prepared. More prepared for what? I can hardly speak past the lump in my throat. I have stomach cancer. Late stage. The doctor said I have a few months at best, a few weeks at worst. My lips part, and I want to laugh. I want this to be a distasteful joke so I can laugh. But the sound doesn't come. My vision becomes blurry, and Mom turns into a shadow as I stare at her through my tears. Please tell me you're kidding, Mom. I'm so sorry, Na-chan. I found out recently, and I didn't want to worry you. But maybe I was just being selfish. You were finally having fun and living, and I didn't want to ruin that for you. But you're right. This is your life, and you should know what's going on in it. I shake my head frantically, causing the tears to cascade down my cheeks. When I was 5 years old, I had my first experience with death when one of our neighbors in Chicago, Mr. Preston, passed away in his sleep. I asked Mom what it means to die, and she said it's when people go to the sky and no one can see them again. She said she will die too. We all will. I remember crying and screaming at her to take it back, because Mom's words were law in my head. She never lied to me and never gave me misguided truths. She didn't even let me believe in Santa, the boogeyman, or the tooth fairy. She never painted the world in bright pink colors for me. So when she said that she would eventually die, I believed it, and I hated it. I spent days crying in my sleep, thinking about how she would die like Mr. Preston from next door. I'm that little girl now as I shake my head over and over again, not wanting her words to be true. Take it back, Mom. No, John. Please take it back. Please don't say that you're leaving. Please tell me it's not your time yet and that the doctor made a mistake.
Annie.
She wraps her arms around me, her voice brittle.
I'm so sorry.
My head lies on her chest and she's trembling. Or maybe I am. Maybe it's the both of us. I don't even know whose sniffles are echoing in the air or whose salty tears I'm tasting. All I know is that I can't stop the wave of grief that confiscates me until it's the only thing I can breathe. Sebastian's betrayal mixes with the news of Mom's illness and drags me under. The sound of my breaking insides echoes so loudly in my ears that I'm momentarily deafened. Noises and motions blur in the background, and it's hard to focus. The pain slashing through my chest is so strong, my bleeding heart is unable to take it all in and shatters into a million irreparable pieces. Mom strokes my back like she did during the Red Night. She whispers soothing words in Japanese and tells me she loves me, just like that night. And I want to scream. I want to stab fate in the face for being this cruel.
I already notarized my will.
She speaks softly, though her voice is a little bit broken, a little bit tired, a little bit dead.
You'll inherit the couture house, my properties, and any stocks I purchased over the years. I asked Amanda to help you if you want to lead Chester Couture, but if you don't, you can appoint an acting CEO and just judge them by their performance. But no matter what you do, don't disappear from the executive board. They will think of you as weak and clueless. Some of those directors know nothing about art and fashion, so don't let them have a say in any creative decisions. Believe me, they would try to intimidate you and...
Mom. I pull back to stare at her. She's having her serious mask on, the business one that's always thinking 100 years into the future.
What is it now?
I don't care about any of that. Can't we get a second opinion?
I had a third, and my options keep diminishing.
Can't you have surgery or something?
The tumor can't be operated on due to the low survival rates associated with it.
How about chemo?
I'm afraid it's too late for that, too.
A sob tears from my throat. How can you be so calm about this? How can you talk about the will and the business and fuck knows what?
Because you're staying now, and I want to make sure you have everything you need.
Everything I need to live without you. She strokes my hair behind my ear and smiles a little.
You're old enough.
I'm never old enough to be without you, Mom.
I used to think that too. When I was pregnant, you were this naughty fetus who kicked me day and night to make yourself noticeable.
One time, a bunch of strangers surrounded me in the supermarket just to see the entertaining ways you moved in my belly, and I wanted to ward them off you, to take you and run away. And I did. I tried my best to protect you from the world. It might have to do with being an immigrant and having to adapt to a culture so much different than mine. But I found it hard to trust anyone, even your babysitters. After what happened with Sam, I decided that I couldn't be parted from you. And that might have turned a tad too suffocating for you. It's because I thought you would be too vulnerable in the world without me, and in a way I still believe that. But I also see how fiercely independent you are, how genuinely you love and care, even if you don't show it much. You remind me of myself when I was younger, and if that's of any indication, I'm sure you'll do just fine. An onslaught of tears covers my cheeks. I don't want to, Mom. Please. Please don't go. You're all I have. Her lips thin before she releases a long breath.
There's also the father you've been searching for since you were a little girl.
You knew?
Of course I did. You put it in a lantern when we went to China last year.
I don't need him if you stay. I'll stop looking for him, I promise.
You don't need him even if I don't stay.
Is he alive?
Unfortunately.
Why are you saying that?
Because he's a dangerous man.
Najan, The reason I relocated from Japan to the States isn't because of social circumstances. I did it to escape him and his influence. If I'd stayed, you would have been brought up in a corrupted way, where you have to fight for your life every day. Then why were you with him? Why did you give birth to me? Back then, I was this simple girl from a conservative family. My parents had me at an old age and worked tirelessly in their small convenience store to make ends meet. Then your father walked in, threatening their business and their poor old hearts. My parents weren't his only targets. Everyone in our neighborhood was. I was so sheltered and oblivious to the world that I had a false sense of grandiosity and thought I could stand up to him and his tyranny. I believed in the stupid myth that the good always outweighs the bad. But I was in for a life lesson. People like your father only know how to take and take until nothing is left behind. But he knew how to play with my young and foolish emotions. I'll give him that. Thankfully, I was beginning to learn his ways, and I realized I wasn't safe with him. As soon as I knew I was pregnant with you, I didn't think twice before I left. Not only Japan and my elderly parents, who couldn't handle what I became, but also him. You gave me my fresh start now. I regained the strength he'd slowly purged out of me. I stood above his gaslighting and abusive behavior thanks to you. Keeping you was a no-brainer. After all, you're the only thing I can call mine. The tears don't stop as I listen to her nostalgic retelling of the old days. I wish I could reach out to her younger self and hug her, but since I can't, I wrap my arms tighter around her in a silent show of support. Normal people don't survive what my mom did. They don't use it as a strength to climb to the top, despite many odds being against them. A sense of guilt hooks with my grief and drags me under. If I'd known my father was her nightmare and that he hurt her, I wouldn't have searched for him. I wouldn't have hurt her by constantly asking about him. Point is, your father is not a good man now, and he's nowhere near the perfect image you built of him in your head. If you ever loved me, you'll forget about him and stop searching for him. Do those men from this morning have something to do with him? She hesitates before making an affirmative sound. Why were they here? They're your father's men. He has men? Lots of them. And those two might have been the most sophisticated of the bunch. Did they come to bother you? To intimidate me so I admit you're his? He doesn't know about me. I lied to him and faked a DNA test that shows you're not his daughter. But he still suspects me, even after all these years. He still wants to get his filthy hands on you. But I will fight until the day I die. Do you hate him so much because he's dangerous or because he hurt you? Both. How badly did he hurt you? My voice breaks with crashing guilt. Badly. He didn't do it physically, but he destroyed my naive heart. Though I guess I should be thankful for that. If it weren't for his emotional abuse, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today. Still, I would never allow him near you. That's why I moved us all the time, and even suggested going to California next. I tried to escape his clutches, but he always found you. But he doesn't think I'm his daughter. Oh, he does. I don't know why, but the more I deny it, the more he's hell-bent on having you, especially these last couple of months. He wants to meet me? He already did, Nao-chan. You just don't remember him.
32. Sebastian. I search for her everywhere, which isn't a lot of places. She's usually either in her house or in the forest. With me. I was so sure she'd be at that rock. No idea if it's my ego trying to play it down or if I really thought I'd find her in our place, waiting for me. At any rate, that's not the case. So I went to her house right after, but her mother told me she wasn't there. I tried calling her 1,000 times. Then I sent a series of texts. Where are you? Call me back. If you haven't read my earlier text, this is a reminder to call me. I know you're hurt, and I don't want you hurt, so let me explain. The situation isn't what you think. Ignoring me is not going to solve the issue, Naomi. If you think giving me the cold shoulder will make me back down, then you're terribly mistaken. I'm coming for you, whether you like it or not. Where the fuck are you? At least tell me you're okay. This is starting to piss me off, and you know how crazy I turn when I'm angry. Stop testing me and answer the fucking phone. If I find you hurt in any way, baby, come on. Just let me know you're all right and I'll stop bugging you, for now. This will just keep escalating and you better be ready for the consequences, tsundere. She didn't answer any of my texts, but she did read them at some point, which should mean she's all right. Or maybe she's been kidnapped and whoever took her is reading her messages. I shoved that thought out of my head as I hit the gas until I reached the highest speed possible. I've been driving so recklessly all day that I'm surprised I haven't gotten into an accident. The day has turned into night and I've already done the tour of the fucking town twice. Maybe she went to another town, or another state, maybe even another country. She's crazy enough to do it, but I'm betting on the fact that she wouldn't just leave her mother behind. No matter how much she says she's mad at her, she still cares for her. But maybe her mom knows, and she asked her to hide her whereabouts from me. The ringing of my phone drags me from my chaotic thoughts. Mrs. Weaver flashes on the dashboard. I inhale deeply as I answer in the cheerful tone she expects. Grandma! Sebastian, she coos, her tone honeyed, which means she has company. Sure enough, chatter reaches me from her end. I'll be right back, darling, she tells someone. My grandson is on the phone. Yes, the star. There are some gleeful remarks that I want to shut the fucking door on, but I can't because no one hangs up on Deborah Weaver. It's the other way around. Soon after, the sounds disappear, and she hisses. Where the hell are you? Huh? We have a gathering this evening. You and your uncle were supposed to show up. Fuck, we do. I completely forgot about it in my attempts to find Naomi. My mind speeds in different directions, searching for a plausible solution. I have a late class. I can't make it. Late class with the seamstress's daughter? Her tone is deadly, and if we were face to face, I'd see the twin flames in her eyes. How do you know about that? There's no use denying it, and if I do, she'll just use it as an invitation to strike harder. You really thought we would let our only heir on the loose after you kissed the girl on TV? A miscalculation on my part. I should have known that Grandma would grab hold of that behavior like a magnet. She doesn't focus on what's normal, but more on what tries to be normal when it, in fact, isn't. She has nothing to do with this, I say in my most neutral tone. You just proved that she does by defending her to me. I tighten my hold on the steering wheel. My grandparents are like sharks to blood. The moment they smell weakness, they latch onto it until they bring you down by using it. That's what they did to Dad, and have been trying to do to me and Nate. We held on for so long. Or at least my uncle did. Looks like I allowed them to smell my blood after all. You have two options, Sebastian. Drop the seamstress's daughter as gently or as cruelly as you prefer, or watch as she breaks her neck. Be here in 15. Beep. I slam the brakes so hard the car nearly topples over. My fist drives into the steering wheel, and I'm surprised it doesn't come off. Pain reverberates in my knuckles, but it doesn't compare to the warring state in my chest. When my parents died in that car accident, and my grandparents adopted me, I learned something. In order to survive, I needed to play their sadistic games. I needed to act a certain way, speak a certain way, and even smile a certain way. It's all part of the social play the Weavers have excelled at for generations, to be able to carry on with the legacy. I had to be strong-minded enough to lead the family, but I wasn't allowed to step out of the norm. Up to this point, I've been the perfect Weaver neither Dad nor Nate could be. But the image I've spent years perfecting is slowly crumbling in front of me, and that brings on one urge. The only urge I have. The need for violence. I kick the car in gear, driving at a crazy speed until I'm back at Naomi's house. Fuck Grandma's gathering. If she's holding a guillotine over my head, I might as well indulge. I fully expect Naomi's mom to tell me she still hasn't come home, but I pause when I find her car in the driveway. A small space in my heart lights up as I step out of the vehicle the fastest I ever have. My feet come to a halt as soon as I cross the distance to the porch. A lone yellow light shines on a small figure sitting on the outside steps. Naomi. Her head is in her hands as she stares out at the distance. A quick sweep of the driveway shows only her car, so her mom must be at work late, as usual. There's always some shipment going wrong or design that didn't meet her standards. Naomi often grumbles about how much of an unhealthy workaholic her mom is. She doesn't notice me as I slowly approach her. It's not until I'm a small distance away that I notice the shaking in her shoulders and the defeat bowing her usually upright posture. Goosebumps cover her bare arms from the slight chill, and I want to hurt an invisible being for causing her discomfort. My Naomi looks so breakable, so fragile, almost like she could be ruined with a mere touch. I came here charged with anger and the need for violence, but as I observe her state, all those thoughts vanish from my system. Baby. She stiffens as she slowly lifts her head. I expect to find tears in her gaze, but there are none. I wish she was crying, kicking or screaming. I wish she'd jump up and strangle me and knee me in the balls. Any of those options are better than the blank stare in her eyes. They're dark under the lack of light, but it's as if no soul resides behind them. Washed away, just like the rest of her expression. You didn't answer my calls, I say quietly, because any other volume would probably have the exact opposite effect. She jerks up suddenly. The motion happens in one go. I expect her to come at me, but she simply turns and stomps to her front door. Not so fast. I grab her by the arm and swing her around. She slaps me across the face, and a muscle works in my jaw at the force of it. She sure as fuck knows how to put all her weight behind her hits. Leave me alone. Her voice is guttural, raw, almost like she's used up all her other emotions and all she has left is anger. I know that feeling all too well. I've lived it since I lost my parents, and I don't want her to experience the same emptiness. Not on my fucking watch. You should know by now that I won't. We're bound together, Naomi. Bound together? She scoffs. By what? Your lies? Your fucking games? Raina's bets? You already won. You fucked me, depraved me, and humiliated me to your heart's content, so go gloat about it to your stupid friends and leave me be. The apathy behind her words pisses me off. People think hate is the worst emotion, but it's not. Indifference is. The fact that Naomi could write me off so easily provokes my ugly monster to rear its head. That's where you're wrong, baby. I can't leave you when I'm not done with you. Well, I fucking am, Sebastian. I played your game, however unwillingly, and it's time to end it. Unwillingly? Fuck that. You enjoyed every chase as much as I did. Your cunt strangled my dick with the intensity of your excitement and fear, and you came more than either of us could count, so don't stand there and utter the word unwillingly. That was only physical. I never signed up to be emotionally abused, so yes, Sebastian, it's over. The next time you come near me or attempt to touch me, I'm going to file for a restraining order. And you think a restraining order would stop me? She swallows, her pretty little throat working with the motion, and I wrap my hand around it hard enough so she knows who's in fucking charge here. I told you not to play with my beast if you can't handle it. I told you to use your safe word, but you didn't. You squealed and ran for it. You gasped and moaned and begged me to use you. That's our reality, Naomi. It's what we are, you and I. beast and toy, monster and prey, so don't you fucking dare threaten me with staying away from you because that's not going to happen. For the first time tonight, moisture glistens in her eyes, even as she glares at me, her dark eyes drawing holes into my soul. Her voice comes out as a strained whisper. You ruined all that when you lied to me from the beginning. I never lied to you. You hid the truth, which is worse than lying. You only made a game out of my feelings and turned me into the laughingstock of campus. No one will bother you. You really think that's the problem here? You're worried about people bullying you, which won't be happening if they want to see another day. You don't even see it, do you? See what? She punches me on the chest so hard I falter, and she uses the chance to free herself from my hold. What you did to me, the way you played me, do you not realize how wrong it was? No, because I got to have you. The method doesn't matter, the result does. She slowly shakes her head, her lips parting in a small whisper. You're crazy. Oh, baby, you've only ever seen a portion of my crazy. Don't provoke me or I'll show you the rest. Her chin trembles, but she doesn't break eye contact as she reaches behind her and fumbles with the handle of her front door until it opens. We're over, she emphasizes, and then she's dashing inside and locking the door. Usually she doesn't do that when her mom isn't around. It's some form of an invitation so I can startle her and take her by surprise. This is a clear sign of her rejection, but it's not going to work. I don't care what I have to do, but I'll get my Naomi back. Even if I have to drag her out, kicking and screaming.
33. Akira. Dear Yukiona, I don't know why you feel the need to defend your fucked up fetish, but that's what all people with egotistical problems do, don't they? They instantly attack the opposing party because God forbid if they're wrong. And you are. Wrong, I mean. Stop your nonsense and get some help instead of trying to accuse me of things that would never measure up to your actions. So what if I watch breath play porn? You don't see me going around and practicing it. So what if I fantasize about it? I'm not the sick one who thinks about doing it in real life while ignoring every safety procedure under the sun. I'm sure your mom taught you to be cautious. Remember who you were before this madness and do better. I'm far from being your morality police, Yukiona. I'm just the small angel on your shoulder who's desperately trying not to be shoved down by your demons. Yes, plural, because you have a lot of that shit. Am I trying to help? Negative. Do I take pleasure in your torment? Also negative. Which brings me to the question I've been thinking about since I read your letter. Why the hell do I look forward to your every letter when I despise your actions and choices? Is this toxic? Probably. Will I stop? Probably not. Here's a sliver of the truth that you'll never learn about me otherwise. Your mundane letters, no matter how tedious and self-centered, distract me from my head and my life, and for that alone, I can't stop this chain of exchange. I have no clue why you won't, though, since I've been calling you every colorful name under the sun. But hey, they say birds of a feather flock together, so maybe this, whatever the fuck this is, was always meant to happen. I was meant to send that letter and be excited like a kid. You were also meant to write back and distract me. My life is everything I don't want, and you're the only thing I actually have control over in it. So no, I won't be closing my windows or getting a talisman. Yukiona is welcome anytime as long as you drive away the boredom. Insert something witty I don't have the energy to think of that doesn't mean love here. Akira.
34. Naomi. Life is unfair. But if I keep pondering on that, all I'll be having is a pity party with chips and apple juice as an audience. So I don't. It's been 3 weeks since Mom dropped the bomb about her cancer. 3 weeks of trying to be there for her even while she insists on continuing to work as if nothing has happened. She said she wants to keep everything perfectly organized and ready for when it's time. Besides, it's not like Mom to flounder about and think about death. When I begged her to go on a trip with me, she said we'll go to Japan because that's where she would like to spend her last days. Fortunately, she's not in much pain, thanks to her meds. It's probably because she didn't undergo any surgery or chemo. But the fact remains that the cancer is eating her from the inside, festering in her while she goes through her meetings as if the end isn't near. I've tried to see it from her perspective and respect her wishes, like the doctor advised me to. But it's hard to pretend. It's hard to cook together, watch movies, and take hikes while knowing these activities may be the last I have with her. It's even harder to have no one to talk to about it. I can't forgive Lucy, even though she came begging, telling me she suspected there was something going on but didn't know what it was. She also stood up to Brianna in public and got called names and was shunned out of the inner circle. Not that it makes up for what she did, but I'm glad she left that toxic bunch. It's been getting crazier in that circle. That same week after Friday's game, Raina was assaulted in the forest and lost her memory. So now she's this completely different person who smiles and laughs and cares about people, even me. The other day, she apologized to me after she learned that she bet Sebastian to fuck me, and I choked on my spit. After I told her to fuck off, that is. The guy himself has been relentless. There hasn't been a day where he didn't corner me, approach me, or talk to me. Sometimes it's a joke about how his dick misses me. Other times it's intense, where his chest flattens against mine and his face is mere inches from my mouth. He absolutely has no fucks to give about my decision or the fact that I told him we're over. In fact, he still thinks we're together, and that sooner or later I'll cave into the connection we have. I've held on to my anger as much as I could. Add in my constant grief about my mom, and I've been in no state of mind to even think about him. But I do. God, how much I do. I think it's because of the loneliness, the lack of friends, and the need to burst bubbling inside me. Besides, I'm well and truly an addict now. No matter how much porn I watch, there's nothing that resembles the intensity of what I felt from Sebastian's hands. There's nothing out there that matches the raw chase and the raw hunger I experienced with him. Sometimes I lie in my bed and think about his huge cock, rough hands, and wicked tongue. Sometimes I let my fingers slip beneath my panties in a hopeless attempt to recreate the sensations. It doesn't work. Not really. How long will it take before I get over it? Because I've been on the brink lately, snapping at anyone who moves. Coming to campus has become a nightmare. Surprisingly, no one bullies me or throws jabs in my direction, but looks don't lie. They regard me like I'm a pest. Besides, Brianna has been making it her mission to turn me into an outcast, even more than before. Now that Raina has lost her memories and is no longer her bitchy authoritative self, Brianna has been spreading her venom all over the squad. She's been actively trying to make my and some of the other girls' lives hell. I've been at the point of rage quitting for a long time, but I haven't. I won't upset Mom when she doesn't have much time left. Sighing, I head to the parking lot while checking my messages. I don't know why I wish to find one from the PI, Kai. I know I won't. After Mom begged me to stop searching for my father, I did. It took all I had to call Kai and tell him to abort the mission. He asked me why, and I told him it's because having Mom was enough. And it is. Holding on to the anger more than I should have has kept me from realizing that fact. Kai simply told me to call him if I needed anything, and that was that. And yet, I still think he'll one day call me and tell me he found my father, or send me his address in a text message. None of those texts appear, but my screen overflows with messages from someone else, Sebastian. He now has this habit of telling me all about his day and giving me a monologue with the weirdest things, even when I never reply. And when I do, it's to tell him to go fuck himself, to which he replies that he'd rather fuck me. The messages of this day include, I'm meeting Nate later this week. You were practically drooling when we had dinner together, so do you want to join? On second thought, no, I don't want you drooling over him. It's best if you don't ever see him again. Though if you insist on going, I can make him wear a mask. What do you think? As much as I enjoy my one-sided conversation, you can at least give yes or no answers. And before you ask, no, fuck you, leave me alone don't count as an answer. As much as I love it when you're tsundere, the cold shoulder is getting tiresome. Anyway, date tonight? Or a chase? I'm open to both as long as I get to bite and suck your tits while your tight cunt clenches around my dick. Or your ass. It feels as good as your cunt. And don't even try to pretend that you don't miss the chase as well. You're fucking torturing us both, and it's not fun. At all. But I'll wait. Now, see what you do to me and feel guilty. He's attached a selfie from the chin down that looks to have been taken right out of the shower. And he's naked. Fully. My eyes fly open as I lean on my car. I try focusing on the droplets of water sticking to his six-pack or to the tattoos in Arabic and Japanese, but my eyes immediately stray down. His 8-inch cock stands erect between his legs. It's big when it's flaccid, but it's huge when hard and ready. The veins pop on the side, and the crown is purple and swelling, leaking with pre-cum. Fuck. This is really not the image I need to see in my sexually frustrated state of mind. Is that Sebastian? I startle and shove the phone in the pocket of my jeans at Lucy's sheepish voice. Thank God she's a safe distance away, and she couldn't have seen me ogling a dick pic. Why are you talking to me? I sound like a bitch, but I really couldn't care less at this point. Maybe I'm indeed a bitch. Lucy's mouth turns downward. I'm just trying to make convo. Well, don't. She sighs heavily. I'm sorry. I'm ready to apologize for the rest of my life if you want. Maybe I just need you to leave me alone. Stop being an asshole. Raina joins Lucy and crosses her arms. She might have lost her memories and done a 180-degree shift in personality, but apparently she still likes Lucy. And she still has that glare no level of amnesia can erase. She already apologized to you. I place a hand on my hips. Doesn't mean I'll forgive her. You don't have to, but that will only hurt you both in the long run. Weren't you supposed to be best friends? Best friends don't stab each other in the back. My voice breaks and I hate it. I hate the weakness. I didn't mean to. Lucy's lids shine with tears. I swear I didn't want to hurt you. But I admit to being too blinded with the glamorous side of being popular, and I let that get to my head, and for that, I'm terribly sorry. It doesn't matter whether you're sorry or not. It changes nothing. Of course it does. Raina sighs heavily. Listen, the whole Sebastian thing is fucked up, but it's all on me. Lucy had nothing to do with it. So if you want to blame anyone, blame me. Blame you? I laugh with no humor. You don't even remember why the hell you did it. I'm sorry for that too. She lowers her gaze. If I could, I would have found out why so I could give you closure. Who says I need closure? My voice breaks again, and I curse myself for it. Raina smiles, and it's weak, haunted even. She's been making these types of expressions more often than not since she lost her memories and her estranged fiancé Asher returned to town. It's okay if you do, Naomi, she says. We all do. Well, I don't. I really don't. Maybe if I repeat that long enough, I'll start to believe it.
35. Sebastian. Naomi's had enough time to reject me, to pretend that she's moving on, but I know she isn't. How do I know? It's simple. The rage in her eyes that she projects onto the world is so similar to mine. Her need to snap at anyone and anything, then retreat into her bubble speaks volumes more than her scathing words. They're only armor she chooses to hide behind. Because no matter how angry she is, no matter how much she hates me for succumbing to a stupid bet, she still looks up at me with those big brown eyes. She still has that spark only I can recognize. I still feel her shudder whenever I corner her somewhere, hidden on campus, or near her favorite fountain where she usually has lunch. After Grandma's unveiled promise of retribution, I made it my mission to not be alone with Naomi. I take Deborah Weaver and her threats seriously. The last time she made one to my dad, he and Mom ended up dead. There's no way in fuck I'm letting history repeat itself with Naomi. So in a way, I've been using this down period to make a case against Grandma's theory. If she believes that I'm no longer interested in Naomi and that I caved to her threat and stopped seeing her, she'll retract her claws. That decision has had its own repercussions on me, though. Not fucking my pretty toy for weeks has turned me into a bitter, raging asshole. I'm even worse than Asher now, and have been punching Josh and anyone who even looks in Naomi's direction. I can't help it. The moment one of the guys has made any remarks toward her, no matter how innocent, I've had the need to pummel their faces to the ground. And not only in fantasy, but also in harsh, unyielding reality. I had to do it outside of everyone's view so I don't tarnish the Weaver name and have my grandparents breathe down my neck. But I reveled in every second of punching those assholes. Now I understand why Asher broke his knuckles punching a guy who was flirting with Raina in high school. It feels fucking euphoric. Owen usually peels me off the fuckers before I break their faces. Since Asher came back, he and Owen take me for drinks as if that will loosen me up. It's made me even more volatile, and I can barely stop myself from starting fights for no reason other than sheer fucking frustration. That's what happens when addiction is taken away. Or obsession. Or fucking companionship. Naomi has become a huge part of my life that I can no longer survive without. I don't know how it got so serious so fast, but it did. I even asked Nate to look for the fucking asshole, Sam Miller, who dared to put his hands on my Naomi when she was 9. After she told me the story in Owen's party, it took everything I had not to release my rage and pummel everything in sight. The thought of her being hurt and scared cut deeper than any fucking thing I went through. I don't know what I would do to the bastard when I find him, but it's probably something more violent than anything I've committed so far. Truth is, I have no clue how far my limits stretch when it comes to Naomi, especially if it has to do with the low fucking life who traumatized her. My uncle pulled some strings with his detective friends, and they found that Sam was filed missing in records. Nate said he could have run away or living in another country, but that doesn't mean I'll give up. I'll find the bastard and make him pay. With his life, if need be. I'm honestly not above that when it comes to Naomi. Owen told me to find a pussy to wet my dick in and relieve some tension. I punched him. As if that would be possible, or I'd be interested in anyone else after I had my Naomi. No one can match up to her fire, her fight, and even her adorable innocence. And it's not for lack of trying. Countless girls, cheerleaders included, throw themselves at me at every game. I only let them to gauge Naomi's reaction. Oftentimes she glares before she lowers her head and leaves. At that exact moment, I push away whatever girl is clinging to me. I have no interest in fucking anyone but her, which brings me to the reason why I'm here, in front of her house. I shouldn't be. Not when Grandma could be having someone watching this place, but it's been 4 weeks already. Even my grandma wouldn't keep up for this long. Besides, it's late, and I have my hoodie on. Ms. Chester's car isn't in the driveway, just as I'd hoped. The front door is closed, but I'm not going through there anyway. Naomi already gave me the alarm code a while back when I snuck in. Here's to hoping they didn't change it. I round the house and climb the tree until I'm near Naomi's balcony, then jump onto it. My movements are silent as I slide the door open, slip inside, and deactivate the alarm. Same code as before. Naomi isn't in her room. Not a surprise there either. I slowly go down the stairs to where the TV screen is shining in the living room. Ominous music from the latest true crime show she's watching fills the air. That's when I get my first full view of her. Naomi hugs a pillow to her chest, and she holds a bottle of juice, her lips wrapped around a straw. The TV casts a pale blue light on her petite features. She's so fucking beautiful it hurts. Her dark eyes are wide, and her lips tremble in complete concentration. I've always loved how scared she gets while watching these shows, but she still seeks them out anyway. She still enjoys the thrill they provide. I sneak up on her from behind just as a retelling of events plays out on the screen. I wrap my hand around her throat and she jolts. Just when she's about to scream, I slam a palm over her mouth, then lean in to whisper, "Scream, and I'll fuck you up." Her eyes widen, and I can feel the exact moment she recognizes me by the slight relaxation in her shoulders and how her breath whooshes into my hand. But then she stiffens again and throws the pillow back at my face. She follows with the bottle of juice, but I tilt my head to the side and it ends up crashing against the ground. Naomi kicks her legs in the air and mumbles against my hand. My dick hardens in my jeans in a second as I smell her fight in the air. I hop over the back of the sofa so I'm on top of her. She doesn't let me pin her down without a struggle, though. Her nails scratch and her feet kick anywhere she can reach me. Fuck, baby, I've missed your fight. My hand tightens around her throat as I pin her to the sofa. She wheezes for breath and I grunt. I'll let your mouth go, but if you scream, I'll choke you again. She doesn't nod. Then again, she can't with my firm hold on her throat. So I remove my palm from her face, only to crash my mouth to hers. She whimpers against me, then tries to bite down on my lip and draw blood, but I thrust my tongue inside and conquer hers. I don't leave her room to breathe, let alone fight. Fuck how much I missed kissing her, how much I missed her low moans and erotic whimpers. Even her sniffling sounds turned me on more than any other fucking thing on earth. I kiss her hard, then slow, toying with her limits and blurring her lines. My chest covers her heaving tits, and my fingers dig into the soft flesh of her neck. I kiss her with an urgency that tightens my balls and rushes all my blood to my dick. She still tries to fight, even as her legs open. She tries to bite, even when her tongue takes tentative strokes from mine. Then she's mumbling something against me, some curse words, some choice words, but I'd take them all. I'd take anything as long as she's by my fucking side. I hate you, she mumbles between pants and sniffles. I smile. I fucking smile because all this time I thought she was fighting to tell me the safe word, the one word that I gave her to get rid of me once and for all. I reach a hand between us, underneath her oversized shirt, and jam my fingers against her panties. I groan low in my throat when her wetness soaks my skin. Hate me for fucking eternity as long as your cunt wants me. I can feel her glare in the darkness, stabbing me in the chest. It's only a physical reaction. It means nothing. I'll take what I can get. I told you we're over. I never agreed to that. Just leave me the fuck alone. No, I whisper against her throat as I dart my tongue out and lick all the way from her jaw to her earlobe. She shudders, her legs clenching, and I do it again until I can feel her melting beneath me. Her fight is still there. I'll give her that, but I don't stop as I pry her thighs open and rub her clit over her panties. This cunt is mine, baby. You're all mine. Just because I gave you space doesn't mean we're over. She whimpers when I lick her lips, then jam my tongue in her wet mouth. I kiss her more savagely, more hungrily. I kiss her for all the times I haven't kissed her in fucking weeks. My tongue ravishes hers, bruising it, luring it, until she kisses me back. Until her strokes meet mine and her arousal floods my hand. Her pulse heightens beneath my fingers, turning erratic and out of fucking control. Just like my own. Only one woman would extract this reaction out of me, and it's her. My Naomi. The front door opens and we both freeze. Now, Chan, are you still awake? I brought Chinese. Naomi's eyes widen as I pull my head back. Then she mouths, "Go." My lips twist in a snarl, but I don't make a move to leave. Now, Chan, Her mother's voice gets nearer. Naomi digs her fingers into my side, eyes asking, imploring, go. I lift myself off of her in one swift movement, but not before stealing one last kiss from her swollen lips. This isn't over, baby.
36. Naomi. I couldn't sleep that night. All I could think about was, what the hell happened and how did I let it? I still can't forgive Sebastian for what he's done. I still don't want him back. So why the fuck did my body react in that shameful way? Maybe it's because the physical and emotional are separated after all. Maybe it's because I've been sexually frustrated for weeks, and I took it out on Akira in the toxic letters we've been exchanging. At any rate, none of what happened last night should have happened. If my mom hadn't come in, just how far would I have let him go? I need to detox from his influence one way or another. Either that or the bubbling frustration will get the better of me. That and Mom's cancer are too much to handle. Maybe that's why I cracked and accepted Lucy back, on probation, as I told her. We're both outcasts anyway, and she basically committed social suicide by going against Brianna. Even Prescott doesn't look in her direction anymore. Raina and I have somehow grown close, too. I know, crazy. So now the three of us are kind of friends, or colleagues, or whatever, but we're not close enough that I'd tell them the whole thing about Mom. She's keeping it a secret from the board until the last minute, and asked me not to say anything in exchange for going on a trip together. Besides, I don't fully trust Raina and Lucy. It'll take time with those two. I never would have thought that Raina and I could become close, but here we are. I guess it's all because of her memory loss. It's like the cruel, vindictive Raina has gone and a completely different, honest girl came in on her behalf. One who cares and tells Brianna off. One who hates her past actions whenever she's reminded of them. The fact that her fiancé, Asher, is back might have something to do with it. The same Asher who's one of Sebastian's closest friends. My monster has been bugging me any chance he gets, cornering me and blocking my exits. He sends me texts and talks about himself and me. He still believes there's an us, even though I repeated for the 1,000th time that we're over. Stop thinking about him, Naomi. I repeat that in my head over and over again, and yet I find myself in the forest at dusk. At the rock, to be more specific. My arms lie limp at my sides as I stare at the dirt covering it while the late afternoon sun casts orange hues on the trees. He must have completely forgotten about this place. What was I expecting? That he'd make an altar where he used to shove me down and fuck me? This isn't over, baby. The sound of his sinister voice in my head sends a chill crawling down my arms. I internally shake my head as a mocking sound leaves me. What am I doing here anyway? I should go and bug Mom about leaving work and resting. It really feels as if she's bringing her death date sooner at the pace she's going. I'm respecting her every wish, so the least she can do is give me her time, or what's left of it. My chest aches at the reminder, and I briefly close my eyes to chase it away. For the past couple of weeks, all I've done is try to make her comfortable. I even gave up on searching for my father indefinitely. And I meant it. If he hurt her, betrayed her, I have no interest in making his acquaintance. Like Mom, I know exactly what it means to give someone my all, to be naively genuine, just to be stabbed in the back by the one person I thought was closest to me. Mom said I met my dad, and I don't remember, but she refused to divulge anything else. I only let it go because the subject matter seemed to have bothered her. I'm about to turn around and leave when something rustles across from me. It couldn't be. My pulse thumps in my throat as I squint. There's nothing visible in the bushes, but I know there's someone there, waiting, lurking. Did Sebastian follow me from campus? It's possible with the way his aqua eyes promised mayhem when we were practicing across from each other. My legs itch for a run, and I just know that if I do run, I won't stop. And neither will he. If he chases me, we'll just fall back into that black hole that I've been desperately trying to escape, to no avail. Even with all the bitter emotions, the snap decision in my brain is a lot easier than I thought. I want to run. I want to be chased. Even if it's for one final time. Just when I'm sucking air into my lungs, a figure appears from behind a tree. I freeze. He's wearing black army fatigues and a baseball cap that falls low on his face. He's a bit taller than me, and definitely not Sebastian. Then another taller black figure appears. There are two of them. I don't think as I turn around and run. For real this time. For my life. Thudding footsteps come from behind me, sounding almost too steady as I sprint the fastest I can, the hardest I can. Oh God. Who are those men, and why are they chasing me? I want to ask that, but I don't trust my voice, not with the amount of panting I'm doing or how hard my chest is rising and falling. Besides, who cares? They could be one of the freaks who are always in this forest waiting for their next prey. Someone like me. I deviate through the narrow paths I used to take when running from Sebastian. I slide down shortcuts that I know will get me to my car faster. A shadow appears from the side, and I shriek as it closes in on me. I'm about to hit and kick when the familiar bergamot scent fills my nostrils. My movements come to a halt as I stare up at him. Sebastian? What is it? He removes his white hoodie and grabs my shoulders. Are you okay? What are you doing here, and why were you running? There were two men. They were wearing black, and they were chasing me, and maybe they're from the black van that followed me, or maybe they don't even know me. Hey, he strokes my shoulder. Deep breaths, baby. I nearly sob at the sound of that endearment coming from his mouth. I didn't know I missed it so much until now. Now, repeat what you said, slowly. Who was chasing you? Me. Told you we'd meet again, Ittore-san. I shriek as one of the dark figures closes in on Sebastian from behind. He doesn't even have time to turn around as the man's gun glints and he aims it at him. Bang! To be continued. Sebastian and Naomi's story continues in the second and final part of the duet, Black Thorns.